Hello everyone, Tactical Lich here, and it's been a while. Welcome back to another Wednesday Faction Wars, but this time we're not doing live stream, because, well, it happened on Wednesday. Unfortunately, I was also down from a cold, got knocked out by a cold last weekend, and well, a cough just lingered all the way till, honestly, now I still have a little bit of cough here and there. So Wednesday was definitely not in a good shape for me to stream the tournaments live. So right now we're gonna instead save up the replays and cast it today in this stream. And yeah, actually let me just quickly do some stuff first. Alright, give me a second. Alright, cool. Yep. I think everything's sorted, and yeah, stream starting soon. Oh, well, stream started. And yeah, let's just jump right into the replays and yeah, go through all the spooky tourney replays. Well, it's not exactly entirely Halloween themed, but it was right before spooky season on the 29th of October, as you can see here with all the dates. And yeah, I did add a special rule set into the tourney just to match the spooky vibes a little bit. Now, players mostly it's the same as all other Wednesday Faction Wars, but the special rules is that you either have to bring an ethereal unit, or you have to bring a unit with some kind of ability, content effect, or item that can lower enemy leadership. Terror and fear do not count. It has to be some kind of leadership reduction. So, for example, Doom and Darkness is a leadership reduction ability, a leadership reduction spell. Or something like, say, Boris Todbringer's Blood Roar, that also counts. And in this case, playing as the Warriors of Chaos, other than Doom and Darkness, there's also another leadership bomb ability available, which is called the Doom Totem, -4 leadership. And that fulfills the requirement for the leadership reduction ability, item, spell, whatever. Yeah, actually, excuse me. Yeah, I still have a little bit of cough here and there, so apologies for that. Yeah. Wait, hold on. Oh, I forgot to do the mandatory self-promotion on everywhere else. Okay, give me a second. Just want to get a few more people on the stream, perhaps. But even then, like, it's not necessary to really watch it on stream. If you're busy, it's a weekend after all. So feel free to just come and watch the archives later after the stream is done and when you have time. Yep, there we go. All right, cool. So I'm playing as Warriors of Chaos throughout the Faction Wars. So we have a few options for leadership. Burning Head from the Fire Sorcerer, Doom and Darkness for the Death Sorcerer, Withering from the Shadow Sorcerer, and also the Exalted Hero has this Doom Totem ability. Other than that, our opponents are Skaven, so we are going with some monstrous infantry combined with chaff approach, a line of marauders in the front, backed up by a bunch of chaos trolls, a ton of mobility in the form of marauder horsemen, and some hell striders, 2 on each flank, plus some more chaos warhounds in case we need to jump some weapons teams. And yeah, that's it for our army builds for our opponent here. Now, Skavens don't have a lot of leadership reduction items, so I just allowed them to just, okay, you don't have to be the scary spooky, you can be the stealthy spooky. Just go instead of getting, instead of scaring people, you can just jump scare them with Ashen units. Now, Gutter Runner and Night Runner units do not count. It has to be Ashen units that can go melee or something. Master Assassin, Snake also counts, honestly, but yeah, assassins, the assassin characters to be specific, and Ashen Triads as well as Death Runners. Now they only have to bring 1 unit, so there's only a single Master Assassin, but that's fine. They also have a leadership reduction ability, actually, item. Sacred Banner of the Horn Red, -8 leadership, but as Skavens, that's not necessarily useful. Anyways, there's also the leadership reduction of... I forgot about the Warp Flamethrowers having burnt effect. Either ways, they don't have a lot of leadership reduction abilities, only the Master Assassin and the Warp Flamethrowers do, so yeah, just bringing these... Oh, I think they have a Discourage, right? Oh shit, I didn't even have to give them the special rules. They have the Discourage from the Sensor Bearers. Okay, never mind. Okay, next time. That's gonna be like, what, next year? Honestly, I don't know if next year am I still playing this game? I have no idea. Because we have no idea how much time is left for Total Warhammer. We're still waiting on the next DLC, so we don't know. Anyways, a front line of Skaven Slaves, Kalan Rats mixed in with War Flamethrowers, plus Red Ogres. We do have some spooky leadership bombing here with the War Flamethrower burnt effect, plus the Sacred Banner of the Horn Red, and then Terror Causing Thing. The Thing here. Does it have leadership reduction? Aura. It does not. It has terror causing. It's terror causing though, so that's something. Red Ogres, and then we have Packmaster and a Morsketar's Hellion for some AoE damage. No Spellcaster. I see that my opponent here. Wait, who was my opponent last time in this battle? I forgot to check the opponent's name. This is what happens when you check replays, but you don't remember who you were playing against. Yeah, Milky Way, I think. Taking the general Grievous Spotify approach. No Spellcaster. Anyways, Master Assassin Vanguard deployed. I immediately jump him with some Marauder Horsemen here. Just piling onto him and chucking some javelins, but not doing a whole lot of damage since, well, they're not exactly the greatest melee unit. Oh, yep. Oh, I'm just trying to skirmish a bit here, but luring the ire of all those Warp Flamethrowers, but I managed to retreat in time and dodge that volley while dropping some javelins in return. Let's fast forward a bit here. I'm just marching up and trying to move into position for a solid clash. Anyways, the War Flamethrowers weren't burning my Chaos Warhound, so I'm just going to jump them with the Warhound and the Exalted Hero. Remember, he does have a -4 leadership AoE debuff here. Combined with the terror from the Manticore, I'm hoping for a quick terror break, but it seems like the Chaos Warhounds are the ones breaking right now. While the War Flamethrowers are multiple units after all, so they are burning down those poor Marauders on the field. While my mobility are moving into position for hoping for flanking charge. Anyways, Exalted Hero has done some pretty decent work against the War Flamethrowers alongside the Warhounds, but Red Ogres are here to pile in. This is going to be a gruesome volley, as the War Flamethrowers can do some pretty nasty damage against my Chaos Trolls. 2 of them are already down to half health, as they are indeed weak to fire and doesn't have the armor to mitigate the fire. Also, the thing is nearby, just to give them a little bit more leadership shock. Alright, flank melee units are crumbling in left flank as well. Those are trolls after all. They don't have the best leadership and are quickly terrified away by the Brute Horror with the Packmaster on top. But I did manage to isolate some pockets of Skaven melee troops and surround them with Hellstriders and Warhounds. Sacrifice some Hellstriders in there, just trying to pile onto the War Flamethrowers, but that did open them up to another unit of War Flamethrowers, and you can see them getting burned down pretty bad. I mean, these are only Hellstriders, not exactly the most value. Anyways, I still have some mobility left, especially those that manage to converge and destroy the enemy pocket of units. And yeah, the Skavens don't exactly have a box formation, which means their flanks and rear are pretty exposed, and my Hellstriders were able to take advantage of that. Particularly the Red Ogres don't have a lot of armor to mitigate the charge, while my Chaos Trolls are have retreated, now just trying to get some regeneration, but some of them might get chased down by Red Ogres instead. Over here, Chaos Trolls are regenerating, but not the Red Ogres, though. And Morsketar's Hellion and Packmaster are trying to consolidate, piling in onto this, just trying to hold this blob here, while the Master Assassin is getting bullied by a bunch of monsters. Not exactly the tankiest character here. And my Marauder Horsemen will be focusing down the Morsketar's Hellion. Even the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is jumping into battle. Actually, I forgot to highlight some Doom and Darkness I use over the course of battle, but yeah, that's fine. We can probably jump back in, replay, watch it, and fast forward, and just pick out stuff we missed out. Sorry about the missing stuff in the casting. it's been like a month, so yeah, I'm getting a bit rusty. This is like a rehabilitation stream, honestly. But yeah, on the far side, you can see that Exalted Hero has been dueling the thing for a bit, and of course the thing is gonna beat the hell out of him with anti-large and also regeneration on that help abomination. Murder Horseman has done some really good work against the Morse Guitar's Hellion. Kill Strolls are not gonna beat it easily, but this is where the Javelins comes in handy, considering it doesn't have a whole lot of armor. And then the Exalted Hero just jumps in and drops its leadership just enough to break it. Terrify it away with the -4 leadership, and then now we're gonna chase it down with the Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Oh, and also Doom and Darkness, making sure that the leadership can't just stand there and fight it on, trying to get a slightly earlier break. Anyways, my Exalted Hero will be marching forth and trying to hunt down the Master Assassin, leaving only the thing really as the anchor of the Skavens. And now it is time for Javelins to do their work here. Yeah, just chipping away the health of the thing and the Hell Striders chasing down Morse Guitar's Hellion. Exalted Hero dived down to go after Master Assassin, but got charged by the Packmaster for a bit there. And not much else to talk about, as just another Doom and Darkness Overcast version. This time just trying to force a break on the Packmaster, just enough to put him into barely barely negative leadership there. Yeah, and now and it's army losses. Well, let me just quickly jump back in, because I think I missed some stuff earlier. We'll do it in fast forward, don't worry. We're not gonna slowly watch everything in normal speed. Gonna be fast, gonna be fast. Alright, fast forward. Missed out some stuff. Just gonna rewatch them a bit there. But yeah, you can see those Chaos Trolls got roasted. Theoretically, War Flamethrowers are like an anti-infantry missile, but because they can do constant stream of damage, they can actually do some pretty nasty stuff against like armored monsters as well. Yeah. But yeah, so these units were a little bit isolated, and the whole Skaven line is a bit spread out, and this gave me a chance to just jump in with Hellstriders and Marauders to surround these troops and drop in an Overcast Doom and Darkness, forcing everyone into a brick on the Skaven side. Like, it's not... I'm still gonna win it either ways, but it's just forcing an earlier break, and I take a little bit less damage while starting to chase down the Rata units a little bit earlier. But yeah, you can see that I jumped in with the Hellstriders trying to take out the War Flamethrower. That was successful, but that also opened up to a counter-fire from the War Flamethrowers there. Yeah, War Fire Throwers, actually, it's called. Yeah. A pretty quick break on my side. A pretty big mistake as well with the micro. Unfortunately, there's just not enough resources to hold on to protect all these War Fire Throwers, and they just died due to the lack of protection. Yeah, I think that's about it. Otherwise, I've just been spamming Spirit Leeches all over to try and pick out some single entities. Alright, that is the first battle done. Right, come on. Okay, cool. I really need to clear out some of the replay files. Alright, next up, Beastman versus Tinge. Mr. Krotik versus MXM Alex. Now, Alex's Tinge army is very interesting. Tinge armies don't have a lot of leadership reduction option other than Treason of Tinge. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Oh, actually, do they have other? No, yeah, they only have Treason of Tinge pretty much and Burning Head. So I was like, okay, Tinge don't have a lot of leadership reduction options outside of maybe finding Changeling to transform into something that can cast that has leadership reduction capabilities. So okay, I'm gonna give them a meme choice. If Changeling can dress up, if they are willing to just take blue scribes, because we all know nobody takes them in an actual meta combat. You know what? Blue Scribes can allow you to just will fulfill the leadership reduction requirement, because you never on one side you have the meme choice as the Blue Scribes. On the other side, you never know what Blue Scribe spell kit has. It might have a leadership reduction spell randomly. So yeah, you know what? Blue Scribe counts as part of the requirement, I guess. So yeah, if they bring Blue Scribe, they can be exempted from the leadership reduction or ethereal unit requirement for the spooky season. You might notice that despite talking about Blue Scribes, you're not seeing Blue Scribe on the field, and that's because Changeling is gonna change into the Blue Scribes, which for some reason, yeah, Alex decided to do so. I'm not sure what's the rationale, but I think the biggest reason is why the fuck not? And for the lols. So yeah, we have the Changeling transforming into the Blue Scribe, which is fulfilling the special unit requirement in this tourney for Siege. And other than that, it's just a ton of mobility here. Murder Horsemen, Murder Horsemen of Siege, Zandagors, and the Chaos Furies. On the other side, same thing here, really. So full mobility and the Blue Scribes. That's about it. Oh wait, hold on. There's one unit of Marauders of Siege with spears. On the other side, the Beastmen are being might be outmaneuvered with so much mobility on the side. The Beastmen themselves bring their own Zandagors, Grook Hooves of Wolf's Run, anti-armor, also poisoning, throwing axes Zandagors. Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of armor to fight today, so yeah, the armor piercing capabilities are pretty much wasted, but you never know. Sometimes Siege might bring a soul grinder or some armored warriors and knights, so you still need those armor piercing. But, well, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, anyways, a line of Gorehurts and Angor Spears with more Zandagors and Zandagor Silvering Axes on the side. Harpies and Warhounds with Poison. Leading the army is a leadership reducing hero character. Malagor the Dark Omen with Something Wicked This Way Comes, -4 leadership, and with Doom and Darkness as well, so a spooky build indeed. If you're fighting a demon unit, maybe you can use this leadership bomb to force them into quicker crumbling, especially something like the Chaos Furies. But yeah, we shall see. But looking at the army picks here, it seems like the Beastmen will have to go for a tighter formation as they are completely they're going to be completely outmaneuvered by Siege here. Harpies are being caught by the Furies, taking some damage already. And while the rest of the Zandagors and the Warhounds are just retreating, Zandagors those are pushing and trying to get some damage in with an early mobile strike. Throwing axes are moving up and chugging some throwing axes, chipping away the health of some of the Siege units. Ooh, a nice flock. Unfortunately, it seems like the flock of them only really caught. I think it caught something, I guess, knocking out some of the shields of all these Zandagors. But yeah, not a lot of damage so far, and the Warhounds are being caught by the Zandagors. And the Beastmen's own Zandagors and Zandagors are just not in the position to help. Now finally they're trying to respawn, but it's too late now. The Harpies have been dealt with, the Warhounds have been lost, and the Siege army taking minimal damage so far. Death Frost. And now you can see the Blue Scribe is on the field. Changeling has transformed into the Blue Scribe. They're not missing any item, I don't think. I don't remember if the Blue Scribe has any item. But anyways, I have no idea what spell kit it has right now because you can't see shit. It's all random, so it's like a spell wheel on the right, and it just comes out once in a while, every time you cast a spell. So yeah, I have no idea what spells do the Blue Scribes have. I guess the first one is the Death Frost here, draining health from Malagor, and seems like the Zandagors with Fury's help are getting some good damage. Oh no! The Zandagors here are not getting an attacking on, instead they have misclicked the background here, getting a movement order, so they're not fighting the units there in front of them, and they're just taking a lot of free damage as they're trying to force path their way through the enemy here. Warhounds are piling in, and just Warhounds piling in, and the Zandagors are dying, and that's very unfortunate. At least there's a Flock of Doom as a counterpunch here, draining the Chaos Furies and the Zandagors away, while the Angors are trying to move up. Is that another lore of ice spell? I think there's a hailstorm here, just bombarding the Gorherds, while the javelins here, the team javelins, are just peppering them with missiles. And yeah, things are not looking too hot for the Beastmen, as they lost a lot of units in the mobility fight on the left flank. The right flank are also not going well for them, as the Zandagors are catching up to those flaring axes, and while the infantry are just not finding the fight they want to, as team has more than enough mobility to just keep pulling away and avoiding those melee engagements. Also, just the fact that they lost a Zandagor due to an unfortunate misclick is turning things a lot against against Beastmen. But yeah, Grugos of Wolf's Run are trying to move into shooting range, but unfortunately that also exposed them to the charge of the Zandagors, and they are now getting caught in melee. They were trying to pull away, but unfortunately, I think their attempt to pull away is a path like that. And that means the units will try to push through the enemy units, and they can't actually pull away because of that, just kind of getting boxed in. Instead, a better retreating route would be from here. So you're just trying to move away from your opponents instead of moving into them. It's very important to observe your unit's position when trying to issue movement order because of that. Anyways, the Gruhooves unfortunately get caught in melee for a little too long there and will be routed away. And the infantry are just kind of struggling to find a decent engagement, while the isolated elements might just get routed and chased down by the more mobile siege army. You don't see that every day, seeing a Beastman army getting outmaneuvered from the sheer amount of mobility their opponent has. Usually the Beastman is the one spamming mobility. But yeah, at this point it is pretty much just cleaned up for Siege, picking off the isolated elements on the Beastman side and sending them to the white line. Well played by Alex here, using blue scribes in an interesting manner, and going with a lot of mobility as well, giving Beastmen a taste of their own medicine. And that's more than enough units to fulfill the minimal unit count, while the Beastmen making some pretty lethal mistakes on their mobility, and unfortunately losing the game as a result. Alright. Hey, dude Von Todd. Yeah. How are you doing? And also, Sipa. I don't know if you're still in the stream right now, but yeah, nice to see you here. Right, next up we do have Sipa's own game, playing as the Vampire Coast versus Skarbrand's Skaven. Skarbrand here specifically want to play as Skaven, even with another player choosing Skavens before him. So I gave them an additional requirement to play Skaven, which is they need to bring 2 Ashen units instead of only 1. Remember, the Gutter Runners and Night Runners don't count, so they do have to bring 2 Ashen units, like Deathmaster, Assassins. Wait, hold on. Where's your second? They're missing one. They were missing one Ashen unit. Anyways, their opponent didn't raise any an issue, so I assume that everyone was fine with the battle outcome. Anyways, we'll just keep going with this battle. Anyways, for Skarbrand here, going with a lot of slingers. Usually only see the regular ones, not the slingers, because the regular ones has 360 shooting, the slingers do not. And that makes them a lot weaker in skirmishing. They're more of they need to stand still to fire, or if they're chasing their opponents, then maybe they can fire while oh they can't even fire while moving, so they have to stand still facing their opponent to shoot, acting more as like a traditional missile unit. They do have a longer range though, so there's that, but it's just not replaceable against 360 shooting of the regular runners. As you can see, the hounds are just pressuring them, they're retreating, and they're not firing at the same time because of those enemy pressure, forcing them to fall back. While the pistols are just picking them away. In a straight up counter shooting, they probably will win, but they're being pushed off and they're not firing back and taking a lot of damage, while the zombies, they don't rout, they just keep shooting. Anyways, for the rest of the Skaven army, some wolf rats, a front line of Skaven slave spears, Blade Scabs, Plague Plaque. Oh wait, no, it does have leadership reduction. Never mind, it fulfilled the leadership, the army requirement. Instead of bringing Ashen units, they did bring the Blade Scabs Plague Pack. And also, Snake H himself is also an Ashen unit, so that's fine. There's 2 units fulfilling this, fulfilling the requirements. Okay, it's all good. Never mind. Don't worry about it. So yeah, Blade Scabs Plague Pack, leadership reduction, and then Plague Priest coming in with a Vermintide Pestilent Breath for those summons. Natty Boobo's Sharpshooter and some Rat Ogres. We're not seeing any Flamethrowers, so unfortunately we're not gonna see some burning action. Red Ogres providing some monstrous presence and also just mass. For the Vampire Coast, I probably should have just made the Morgul's as like a nah. Actually, Morgul's are a little bit more meta than before now, so it's fine. Their requirement is to bring leadership reduction or ethereal units. We don't see any ethereal units here because we do have a vampire fleet captain with Doom and Darkness. Also Spirit Leech, but Doom and Darkness is what fulfills the special unit requirement. For the rest of the army, Scurvy Dogs and Morgul's. Morgul's are going to be a problem for the Skavens due to their terror, forcing those Skaven slaves to break a lot earlier. A bunch of pistol mobs in the front line just shooting and pushing as they do have firewall moving, and that's it for the main army here. Oh wait, oh, no, there's also a Morgul Haunter. Not exactly a great unit, I don't think, but chilling aura to slow down enemies, easier to chase them down, and just a decent anti-infantry armor-piercing monster. What was the requirement you had to double check? I'm used to domination matches. Oh, the requirement is more like a meme requirement. I added to the tourney because it was close to Halloween, so they need to either bring units that can reduce enemy leadership manually, not fear and terror. It has to be some leadership reduction abilities, spells, items, whatever. For example, Doom and Darkness here. Minus 16 leadership. And for Ashen, they can, for Skavens, they can bring Ashen units instead because they don't have a whole lot of leadership reduction options. But yeah. Also forgot about the leadership element of the Vampire Coast. We have an Araneth Assault Spike on the field, providing leadership here. Anyways, Morgul Hunters, Morgul Hunters, and Scurvy Dogs are just rushing for the Skaven formations, just running down all those Skaven slave spears, quickly putting them into terror out due to the terror traits of these Morgul Hunters. Even not being a massive monster, I do think they're ugly enough to cause terror on anything. Look at those ugly jaws, and also just being only half of the human torso. Ugh. That is just a disgusting unit. I do not want to see them in real life. Thank fuck this is only a fictional setting. Nothing here is real. Yeah, it's gonna be ugly. But anyways, Araneth Assault Spike charging in, and Plague Monks are being summoned on the field. But unfortunately, those Skaven slaves are quickly being rushed down. Red Ogres are trying to hold back the enemy mobility, but the Slingers are being chased down by Scurvy Dogs. And remember, they don't have 360 shooting, so when they're being chased, they can't fire back. Which is a big issue if you're being pursued by your opponent. Because normal 360 shooting skirmishing units, even if they're being chased, they can fire back while being chased to do at least some damage against the enemy. So against regular Scurvy Dogs, the Night Runners can just keep running and shoot back and just chip away the Scurvy Dog's health. They can't do it over here. Now Red Ogres can push them, can beat them up, but yeah, the Scurvy Dogs are just cleaning up those flanks. Those Gutter Runners are being shut down all over the place, and the Red Ogres are being beat up by the stronger monster, the Morgul's, who do have the hunger to keep themselves healthy in melee combat. You can see the front line of those Skavens have basically been crumbled. Although Deathmaster Snake, seeing that Araneth Assault Spike is a little bit isolated. Wait, are these Sartosa Militia? Indeed, you can bring some Sartosa Militia in this tourney. It's a little bit different than your usual multiplayer only tourney. But the problem with Sartosa Militia is that they do route, unlike unlike regular. Oh wait, yeah, unlike regular zombie units. So yeah, that was unfortunate. But yeah, Morgul Hunter just beating up the Plague Priest. Snake is actually deleting that poor fleet captain, pulling his own weight. The problem is the rest of the Skavens can't really do that. You can see the front lines have crumbled. The damage dealer, all those gutter runners, slingers are being chased down. Have been chased down by scurvy dogs who got some insane kills overall. 150 on each unit. Damn, that's a lot of kills. These guys are also getting some decent kills as well. Just keeping those Night Runners busy and able to fire at whatever they want. And Snake is trying to go after Ernessa Soulspite, but Ernessa is just running the hell out of there, running for her own life. Or unlife, well, life. She's not undead yet. We're gonna speed up here as the Night Runners, Slingers are slowly, yeah, I don't think the Skavens can pull this one back as their damage dealers have been shut down. These Blacks kept Plague Pack while being a very elite melee unit. They are fighting up against some self-healing anti-infantry monsters, and yeah, not great for those elite Skavens. GG. Getting some decent kills, but mostly against low-value units like pistols, Sartosa Militia. But there's a lot of pistols on the field in this game here. 9 units of pistols, 4 of them Sartosa Militia, and 5 of them Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob. They're just pushing and shooting, which is what forced those slingers to pull back, I suppose. But and then the melee units. Melee mobility just keeps pushing on, running down the enemy infantry. Not a whole lot of value on these Morghuls, but the important thing is that they crush those Skaven slaves, allowing the scurvy dogs to just follow up and chase down whatever units exposed behind the slaves, and they themselves can do some pretty good damage even against red ogres. Although Snake did get some good value, just that sniping out its caster and doing some good damage to Ernessa Soulspite is not enough to save the rest of his army. Yeah, I love seeing Snake actually assassinating targets. Usually people just run the hell away from him, and because he is a foot character, he has problems catching up to his target sometimes. So yeah, that is it's nice to see, for sure. Okay, we have what's next? We have a Lizardman versus High Elf battle. Next, High Elves do have leadership reduction units, and that is in the form of the Rahagras Pride, the Mighty Roar ability. -8 leadership, I think? I forgot. It's been a while, but yeah. A line of spears, a staunch line of spears, 3 Lothern Sea God. Let's slow down a bit there. 3 Lothern Sea God, Rahagras Pride for that Mighty Roar -8 leadership and -25% speed. A few units of Illyrian Reavers and Silver Helms at the back there, providing mobility and mass. In the skies leading the army is Eltharion the Grim on Stormwing. Apotheosis, and Apotheosis only. The rest are his own unique abilities and items. Helm of Ibris, Unbreakable Cannot Die, Fang Sword of Eltharion, and Mistwalker's Barrage. Providing spell support is a Mage of Metal with Searing Doom and Searing Doom only, which is decent against both infantry and cavalry, which he has to deal with a lot here. Cohen Riders on the other side as the Lizard Boys. And a front line of... Wait, hold on. Actually, I should open up the challenge page to keep track on who was playing what. Let me just quickly do that. Wait, who's playing Lizard Boys? High Elves is played by Tequila Sunset, great streamer, and yeah, a pillar of the land conquest mode multiplayer community. And what else? We have wait, Lizardman is Curiel, who does have a liking for his Lizard Boys. A front line of Red Crested mixed in with Skinks and Cohen Cavalry, Cohen Riders, Cohen Spear Riders, and just quite a wide line here. Cohort of Sotek as well, very cost-efficient offensive infantry. And let's see. Skink skirmishers, skink cohorts, Cohen Spear Riders, and let's see. In this guys we have, oh wait, no. And then we have the leadership reduction unit here. Doom and Darkness from the Slan Mage Priest of Death. Also Fate of Bina and Spirit Leech. That's it for the army build here. Let's get the battle playing. Yeah, let's fast forward a bit here since both armies are just marching forth. They don't even have artillery to start shooting at each other yet. And it is mostly infantry and cavalry clash. A lot of stuff clashing in melee as well. Loven Seaguard are firing, but Skin Cohort don't care. They're cheap, they're cost efficient for absorbing ammo, and they are shielded. So they're just sitting there and taking up the valuable ammo off the Loven Seaguard. Although the Skink Cohorts are gonna struggle to break through the Loven Seaguard. On this flank there, you can see Cohen Riders are charging into Illyrian Reavers. They are armored, while the Illyrian Reavers are not. So yeah, Illyrian Reavers taking a lot of damage here with the Red Crested Skink as well. But the Silver Helms are counter-charging in with Elflarion jumping as well. Ooh, a banishment dropped onto some Silver Helms, or did it? Was it dropped on the Loven Seaguard instead? Anyways, Blood Statue of Spite is gonna take up some of their HP, while the Cohen Spear Riders, very nice micro from Curio here, slipping through the gaps in the enemy formation, just turning those Cohen Spear Riders into a more narrow formation, just pushing through and trying to get to the enemy backline. But the problem is that Illyrian Reavers and War Lions are nearby to countercharge that effort. But there are a lot more lizard boys than high elves on the field, and they have a lot of units just kind of walking around the defenses and ready to just charge in, wrap around the flank. Elflarion is holding line here with the Silver Helms and Illyrian Reavers taking a lot of damage in the process, trying to plug the gap on the right flank, but the left flank is pretty much exposed. The Cohen Riders and Spear Riders and Red Crested, the Court of Sotek, are just not a problem right now. Have nobody stopping them right now. The Cohen Riders in the middle did get wiped out by a combination of War Lions and Illyrian Reavers. Over here on this side, the High Elves are faltering a bit as the Cohen Spear Riders managed to outtrade the High Elf Cavalry in melee. And Elflarion the Grim is not in the position to save everyone here. Well, over here, ooh, a Fate, what's that? Oh wait, a Fate of Unit on the Illyrian Reavers. I was wondering why was it not cast on a Silver Helm. I guess the Silver Helms are almost dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But yeah, Fate of Unit deleting the Illyrian Reavers, and then the Loven Seaguard themselves are also run down by a combination of multiple Cohen Riders, and on top of the Court of Sotek are rushing in to shut down the enemy back line. However, the Skinks are being grind down by the staunch line of spears. There are 5 spears units in total, and that's a lot of that's a long shield wall to go through. While Elflarion, with those bombardments, the Mistwalker's Barrage, managed to thin out the enemy Cohen Riders. More units, more Spear Riders are being thrown into the fray here, but taking a big hit from Elflarion put them down to 75% HP already. And remember, this the Lizard Boys don't have any healing, so all of the damage they take are permanent, while Elflarion can heal his own troops with Apotheosis. And yeah, Cohen Spear Riders are holding down the line here. Ooh, a big Doom and Darkness Overcast version hitting all these depleted units leadership here. They're already on the verge of breaking, and with that -16 leadership, they are all routing away. It's a big chain route, and the Cohen Spear Riders might be able to take advantage of that and clean up these kind of mobility support. But overall, things are still looking quite even. The spears are still holding strong for the High Elves there, while the Lizard Boys have cleaned up most of their missile back line. Some Skinks are even just tying down those Loven Seaguard in melee. Ooh, the spears here being with a grind down over time by a bunch of Cohen Spear Riders. How many? Ooh, another bound banishment. Is nobody using Purple Son of Zeruz anymore? Huh. Before I went on my month-long break, the Purple Son of Zeruz is still the thing to delete the blobs of units, but yeah, I don't think I'm seeing them today, despite the encouragement of people to bring Lord of Death. But yeah, bound banishment, deleting the spears, and just doing some pretty nasty damage overall. And you can see that after the big break over here on this side, the Lizardmen are slowly taking control of the battlefield. The ability to the fact that they have more mobility to mobilize and just cycle charge around rear charge enemy units chase down and the routed troops just gives them a lot more leeway on the battlefield, just to exploit the enemy's breaks, while they themselves can get back their own routed troops, because the High Elves, after losing all those Illyrian Reavers and Silverhounds, don't have a way to chase down the routed troops. And yeah, the Corn Spear Riders are slowed down by Mighty Roll and stuff, but unfortunately, that is not going to make a difference on over here. Ooh, Spear Leech on the Mage of Metal, trying to drain it down. Eltharion doing a lot over here, just bombarding every single unit nearby with the Mistcut Walker's Barrage. But unfortunately, even with the spears holding strong, the Court of Sotek is just a better melee unit to just start cleaning up enemy spears. Also rear charges. That is also a big factor. Excuse me. I still have a few cuffs lingering here and there, so yeah, you will still hear some cuffs. But yeah, I'm mostly fine now, which is why I'm casting replays today. Yeah. But yeah, Illyrian Reavers are all completely gone. They're only spears on the field. The Mage of Metal has been Spirit Leech to death. It's only Eltharion and one spear unit on the field, trying to hold the line. The rest are too tattered, and even these spear units are being surrounded by Corn Riders and Skink Cohorts, just kind of whittled down over time. And there's still a very much healthy Cohort of Sotek, ready to take down enemy infantry. And yeah, Eltharion, while being strong and also have access to healing, he's not invincible. He's slowly being attrition down by Spirit Leeches and Spear Riders piling onto him with anti-large armor-piercing attacks. And that is a victory to the Lizard Boys there, having a lot more mobility to run down the High Elves. High Elves really struggle against a spam of armored cavalry and armor-piercing units. Also some nasty spellcasting from the Slime Age Priest as well. Dropping those banishments. Did they... Yeah, we saw 2 bound banishments. Maybe there's a... I don't think there's a 3rd one. But yeah, doing some really good damage on to the High Elf side, blasting away some of their infantry formations. Wait, the Mage of Metal, I don't see him using a lot of Searing Dooms. What the... Or was it... Wait, hold on. Was that Searing Doom or was that... Hold on, that might be... Okay, actually, that might be Plague of Rust. Might be my bad here. But yeah, Warlines did surprisingly well, actually. Earned back their worth and then some more. It's just, unfortunately, there's a lot of investment into the High Elf Spear line, which mostly just stand there to stop Skink Cohorts. And while the cavalry just wiped out their much weaker mobility. Of course, the Warlines with their armor piercing still managed to get some damage in, but yeah, that was a rough one. Too many armored cavalry on the Lizardman side for those High Elves to deal with. Oh wait, yeah, that's a Plague of Rust, actually. That's not a Searing Doom, that's a Plague of Rust, my bad. Actually, let's just break up my own replays for a bit, because otherwise we'll be watching... Yeah, we'll be watching a few Warriors of Chaos in a row. Let's just watch the next one, Warriors of Chaos, this time against Kurio's Lizardmen. And, other than just being scary spooky, the leadership reduction spooky, which Nakai and the Miasma of Despair contains, there's also the sneaky spooky, the jump scary spooky from the Lizardman here. As you might notice, this is a full Vanguard deployment army outside of the Spellcaster, who is just here. The rest are all on the other side of the battlefield, ready to jump scare me, with a line of Chameleon Stalkers and Chameleon Skink Skirmishers. All Vanguard deployed, and also they have Vanguard deployed monsters here. Galbloom's Terror, and also the Cohen Cavalry, Pokopop's Cohort. Pop Cohort, I call them because, damn, Lizardman units sometimes are hard to pronounce. A few units are Ripper Projectile Riders, one of them the Regiment of Renowned Colossodon Hunters, and leading the army is Nakai the Wanderer, and Miasma of Despair thus reduces enemy leadership. And yeah, Primal Roar for that rampage. And very important item here, the Golden Tribute, providing vigor refresh to nearby units, essentially keeping everyone in perfect vigor. Very, very important item that can keep your units fighting in 100%, fighting at 100% stats in the late game while everyone else is beaten up and and just tired, exhausted, melee stats reduced, armor worn down. But yeah, for the Warriors of Chaos, oh wait, there's also the spellcasting kit of Flock of Doom and Flock of Doom only on the Skink Priest. For me, I'm just pushing the Marauders up front and trying to get to a slightly better position to counteract the Lizardman's threat. A line of Marauders with a ton of mobility in the form of Hellstriders, multiple of them in fact, Murder Horsemen with throwing axes, ready to shut down some monsters, but instead I'm just getting Flock of Doom by the Skink Priest and whatnot. While Ripper Projectile Riders are just jumping on my Marauders, getting some really nice value there, clearing out some of my chaff. Excuse me. But yeah. Oh, have you ever experienced not being able to join a friend code when playing and there is no list in the multiplayer campaign? Is there a way to fix it? I can't hear you, by the way, so maybe you can chat here. I don't have time. I'm sorry, I don't have time to type. But yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably is if you can listen to over here, maybe. It's probably most likely a mod thing if you install different mods as your friend, or even just different versions of your games. You won't be able to join in your friends' games and whatnot. Anyways, Colossus the Hunters is a big threat here, so I might just have to run the hell away with my Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death on a Chaos Dragon. I do like to try him out once in a while because of Tormentor Sword and just having a terror-causing caster piece. They can also drop breath attacks here and there, but not a lot of units for me to drop that breath attack on, unfortunately. It's better against infantry or cavalry blob, but there's not a whole lot on the field this time. And yeah, there's no units over here, and I'm just kind of standing. Oh, I forgot. There's also the Rotting Riders that I brought in case I need to kill monsters. And you're just jumping in, trying to take down some of the Colossodon Hunters with ring axes and jumping in with the Exalted Hero. But you can see the Colossodon Hunters are doing a nice work onto my Exalted Hero. While the Marauders are just not getting a good fight here, being charged by Pop Cohort, Nakai terrorized them. And Chameleon Stalkers are dropping in some explosives. And yeah, I don't have a lot to answer against Goblins' terror as well. And my Hellstriders are just taking a bunch of damage. Throwing axes are being moved up to try and counteract that. But my micro was rusty, man. It's been like a month since I last played during this tourney. So yeah, the unit movements are kind of out of order, and Marauders are being just terrorized by the Feral Connoisseur and Nakai himself. I'm dropping in some breath attacks, trying to thin out the enemy units, but I probably should have dumped it on the Pop cohort. Either way, instead of the Skink Skirmishers, that was a mistake, and not doing a whole lot of damage with the first breath attack. And Flock of Doom as well, just hitting multiple units at once. I'm trying to hold down the enemy units, but oh man, the Flock of Doom plus units fighting back plus Nakai plus Gelblum's Terror just smashing up my poor Hellstriders. And there's still a lot of Earth Protector Riders on the field. And my Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death is just running for his life, even jumping onto the ground, trying to get some infantry support in the meantime to try and survive. And my Rotting Riders have been forgotten for a bit there, just sitting back, not doing a whole lot. Now finally being activated to try and run down those Skink Skirmishers, while my lone characters are just here getting surrounded on all sides. Throwing axes trying to get some damage done, and they are indeed getting some damage done, but my characters are in a bit of a pickle. I need to get them out, so I have to throw in some Murder Horsemen just to get some bodies in the fight, and maybe then my Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death can get out of there. Anyways, the Rotting Riders are being committed to this big block fight now, and they should be able to get some work done, ripping down the Rip Projectile Riders. But there's still a lot of Chameleon Stalkers on the field, and they're decent enough melee fighters that I can't just ignore them. I can't just take them on in a melee fight outside of using the Rotting Riders, really. But the Rotting Riders are very much occupied, and I don't have a lot of answer against them everywhere. Throwing axes will be standing back and just keep chipping away. But unfortunately, they are armor piercing, and there's not a whole lot of armor here other than the Gelblum's Terror. So shooting at the Rip Projectile Riders is not the greatest cost efficiency for me, but I still have to shoot them either ways, which is the unfortunate thing. Rotting Riders are fighting strong, and they probably can just surround and finish up the Goblin's Terror. Unfortunately, I did forget about the Exalted Hero for a bit here, and he was stuck against Nakai for a bit. And that was not going well for him, as you can see, getting charged, and then Miasma of Despair, and also just getting beaten up pretty badly. Goblin's Terror has been dealt with, a leadership bomb with Doom and Darkness upgraded version, forcing it into a rout. Barely enough leadership drop into a rout. But yeah, Nakai the Wanderer has beaten up the Exalted Hero there. I probably should have surrounded him with the Rotting Riders, but I decided to go after the Skirmishers instead, because thinking, okay, I've got throwing axes to shoot at Nakai, but Nakai isn't exactly the biggest target of all, and at the same time, Skink Skirmishers are just shooting at the Skirmishing Cav, so not great. Ooh, a breath attack this time onto some of these more Skink Skirmishers and trying to break them down, and they indeed have suffered some leadership loss because of the big breath attack, and I might be able to do some good damage here and chase them down. But at the same time, the Rotting Riders have been stuck in melee. Hey, Contrarian Codex, things have been going decent. Yeah. But yeah, they have been stuck in melee for quite a bit and taken a lot of attrition damage despite having 22 models left, having like roughly 1/3 of their HP remaining. As the Nakai is coming in to slap them a little bit more. I'm running low on resources on all fronts actually. I'm slightly ahead of Violence of Power, but barely ahead. And while my Rotting Riders, I was trying to get them retreat to somewhere else and just chase down router units and maybe get some healing regeneration back. Now they're just now they have chased down the Goblin's Terror, and now maybe they can start going to chase down the Skink Skirmishers. But the problem is that they have been poisoned and slowed by Miasma of Despair. So their speed is now down to 38, which is slower than the Chameleon Stalkers, and the Chameleon Stalkers are constantly just sticking behind their butts and taking out their HP with Nakai the Wanderer nearby. On the far side, I managed to take out the Skink Priest with a bit of a Spirit Leech. Maybe I can try and drop onto him as well, but Spirit Leech finished him, and there's no point trying to take the fight with the Reproductor Riders. I did lack the bit here and allow him the Sorcerer to get caught a bit and take some more damage. Not great. But yeah, trying to jump back into the fight as well and terrorize some of the Skink Skirmishers. The throwing axes have ran out of ammo, so I just threw them into melee and try to take out these Chameleons. But the Stalkers are a stubborn bunch. They might be more of a hybrid unit, but they can do decent in melee, and they're just taking out my Mortal Horsemen, which is a problem here. I need every single body I have. The balance of power is moving back in the middle because those Rotting Riders are just unable to escape from the Chameleon Stalkers. I'm trying to get them to run away, but those Stalkers are still sticking behind them. And Nakai is nearby as well, just slapping down their HP. So despite the regeneration, their HP is just constantly dropping because of those Stalkers taking out their, just chipping them up bit by bit. I'm trying to get them to chase down the Skink Skirmishers, but oh man, it is such an annoying presence here. On top of that, we're also further slowed down by being in the forest terrain, which I totally forgot about as a thing. I should not have done that. I should have just maybe try and fight them head on maybe, and do a head on charge or something. But right now they are being stuck in the forest and being chased down by Chameleon Stalkers. A big mistake on my end, losing this unit that could have did a lot of healing. There you can see there's still a lot of space left until healing cap. And yeah, that is a big loss from my end. Balance of power is against me at that point. I'm just consolidating my units, trying to take back the capture point and maybe find an isolated unit and finish them off. Yeah, the Hell's Riders are just retreating. I'm just trying to get every unit back into be reconsolidated as I can. And yeah, I probably should have held back my units here, as the Reproductile Riders and Stalkers are just moving up, trying to take out my troops here. But yeah, a little bit of breath attack, but probably did more friendly fire than anything. Jumping in with my Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Death, would have taken more damage from the Reproductile Riders for a bit there. And, or maybe it was Overcast. It doesn't matter here, as my units are extremely depleted. Losing that Rotting Rider is a big mistake on my end. And my opponent very well played with the full Vanguard deployment here, using the Chameleon Stalkers as a hybrid melee unit to take out my skirmishers as well. Managed to clutch a victory in the end. Both sides are very depleted, but My opponent has a better unit conservation with all those Chameleon Stalkers. And don't forget Nakai keeping everything basically fresh in Vigor there with the Golden Tribute. Meaning that his units, the Lizardman units in late game, will outperform my exhausted and depleted Warriors of Chaos skirmishers, who are also out of ammo. They did a lot of good damage, but unfortunately losing the Rotting Riders was a big problem for me. And also Exalted Hero, being stuck against Nakai for a little too long there, getting beaten up and not coming back. Chaos Sorcerer Lord did some okay damage, but that's about it. The breath attacks were not too effective, mostly missing their targets and not doing a whole lot. While on the other side, the Flock of Dooms were very lethal, especially against the very squishy Hell's Riders. And then the Stalkers held until the late game, being the anchor of their army. And Ripper Dactyl Riders did a lot of good damage as well, taking out a bunch of my my character's HP. With the armor piercing and sometimes the Colossal Hunters with their anti-large. Alright, next up, let's not do another Warriors of Chaos. Let's do something else. Let's say... Huh. Actually, Skaven versus... Yeah, let's do a Skaven versus Beastman. And the Skavens are bringing a Kick Cloyer. Milky Way only needs to bring one scary, spooky unit. Yeah, that was an unfortunate breath attack, yeah. To be fair, a good chunk of the damage in the end that we saw actually came from the Stalkers. We just didn't see that properly because it was in fast forward mode. So all the damage just kind of blended together. Anyways, for the army built here, the Skavens of Milky Way, going with a Storm Vermin and Ashen Triads. So spooky units as the Ashen Triads, Halberds, Guandao infantry in stock. And then we have, what else? Storm Vermin's Halberd, so a lot of anti-large armor piercing on the field. And Warp Flamethrowers, 3 of them in fact, so a lot of leadership debuffs as well. At the back there, Red Ogres mixed in with Skaven Slave Spears guarding the rear, and some Skaven Slaves on the flanks. Leading the army is Quake Hat Taker. You don't see this guy every day. And an Ashen Saucer with Brittle Bone to reduce enemy defense, and Vigor, as well as Warp Stars, in case they need to poke away at enemy single entities. Other than that, a Chieftain there, providing a second melee character. And yeah, that's it for the Skaven army build. On the other side, for the Beastmen, a front line of Ungor Spears, backed up by a ton of Ungor Raiders and flanked by a bunch of Santagors wearing axes and Santagors. And yeah, for the Air Force and also a leadership reducing unit, Malagor, the Dark Omen with Flock of Doom and Doom and Darkness, and of course, something wicked this way comes, and some Harpies in the skies. That's it for the army builds here. The Harpies probably expecting weapons teams, and there are indeed weapons teams. Probably great for shutting down the Warp Flamethrowers. But yeah, but most important thing is that there's the Malagor here, just flying in, dropping Flock of Dooms, draining the health of Storm Vermins and Ashen Triads, especially Ashen Triads being a rather fragile, squishy unit, relying on physical resistance. That Flock of Doom would be very cost efficient against them. Also, the Warp Flamethrowers taking quite a bit of damage. Now, the Warp Flamethrowers, are they gonna start shooting? Because they are very much in range earlier. Looks like some of them managed to start shooting and just burning away at the poor Ungor Spears. But yeah, some of them are still being caught in melee. Triads are coming in to try and stop them, but plug the gap. But the Warp Flamethrowers are now kind of occupied in melee, not quite able to keep shooting. Harpies are jumping in, shutting them down, and yeah, Warp Flamethrowers are mostly shut down. These guys are still on the field, now pushing up to try and deal with the Ungor Raiders. As well as Storm Vermins managed to push back some of these Ungor Spears. Ooh, there are some Pestigos on the flanks here, but they're not fighting Storm Vermins. Not that they can quickly take them down anyways, but yeah, they should be able to break through the flanks. But yeah, anyways, Beastmen mobility on the flanks are moving into flanking position, while the Ungors have taken care of some of these Warp Flamethrowers being tied down in melee, shot by arrows. They have taken quite a bit of damage. Skavens are pushing through the front line though, and are trying to threaten those Ungor Raiders, but unfortunately the Skavens don't have a lot of mobility. There's no wolf rats. so they can't quickly shut down on those Angkor Raiders. But something that is indeed quite fast are Ashen Triads, but they seem to be otherwise occupied in other places. Ooh, a charge from the from the Sandagors, quickly taking out quite a good chunk of their HP bar there. Unfortunately, these are just regular Ashen Triads. They don't have the Shadow Clone no Jutsu, so they can't take drop another unit in between to plug to keep those Sandagors occupied. But yeah, there's some Red Ogres coming in to help, and more Triads converging as well. As you can see here, Storm Vermins are pushing through. Not Triads. Triads should be the one chasing routed troops, not Storm Vermins. Storm Vermins are a bit slow. 34 speed you can see here, while the Triads are at 56. They are light infantry with low armor, so they are very swift on their feet. While the Storm Vermins are more of like a hold and defend kind of thing. But yeah, Ashen Triads managed to just keep pressuring down those Sandagors. Some of them took a lot of damage. This is the one that got charged, but the others are just constantly just pushing back, driving back those those Sandagors. Over here though, this pocket of Skaven troops are being slammed in the back by Sandagors and just being shot by throwing axes, and Pesagors are also fighting in the mix. So in terms of melee straight up fight, the Skavens are definitely not in the advantage here. And a lot of their units are just scattered all over the place here. War Flamethrowers managed to burn down quite a few of the Beastmen troops, but they are also being dragged way out of position alongside the Storm Vermin with a Quick Hat Taker. Ooh, Warp Star, taking out quite a good chunk of HP from Malagor. Nice stuff. It was an overcast, unfortunately, so it did hurt the Ashen Saucer with some miscast damage. But yeah, that was pretty neat. Warp Star, totally. I don't usually see that spell, and it's nice to see it once in a while. Storm Vermin fighting on top of the Warp Flamethrower, but unfortunately, that's probably the end of the weapons teams here. Being caught out in melee by Harpies and by Angkor Spears. Wait, what? Quick Hat Taker is keeping them in a fight. While the Storm Vermins over here actually managed to catch those Angkor Raiders, as they were not on skirmishing mode, so they don't automatically run. And once they stop, they just get caught and killed. Or maybe they were on skirmishing mode, but they still get stopped by the chieftain anyways. Yeah, not sure. But yeah, overall things are slightly ahead for the Skavens. Managing to drive back the enemy troops and also just drag them down with the Ashen Triads in melee. Also, Red Ogres are being used quite wisely just to keep pressuring those those Sandagors and drag them down as they try to retreat away. But yeah, at this point I feel like the Sandagors might want to just retreat and regroup, and while they take out those routed troops. Ooh, Flock of Doom is going to be a problem, and an unfortunate miss with the Ninja Stars. The Warp Star unfortunately missed Malagor there, so Malagor is just staying in the skies, chilling away from any melee threats, and just keep spamming those Flock of Dooms, trying to equalize the balance of power. Angkor Raiders have basically regrouped, and as they were being driven away from the battlefield by a bunch of Storm Vermins, while the Triads are still putting that pressure onto Sandagors. They're decently fast as a unit after all, so they just keep putting pressure onto those Sandagors. They're trying to stick with them and yeah, drag them down wherever they can find them. Red Ogres though being isolated as all the infantry are basically gone over here. They are completely swarmed by a ton of Sandagors here and being taken out in melee. Flock of Doom, not that. Oh yeah, actually it does matter. There are some Ashen Triads in the field, in the area, and just trying to kill them all, and also hitting these Ashen Triads as well, despite the flag not being in the vicinity. Most of their unit is, so it still affected them. And yeah, this is where the problem of having light armored infantry scattered all over the field comes in. These Ashen Triads, they're not holding a defensive position if the Sandagors decide to just swarm them with psycho charges. They don't really have an answer to that. The chieftain is just beating up some Sandagors. I guess that's fine. He's just chilling in the fight over there. Though a Kick Claw and... oh no, not a Kick. Quick Hat Taker is just holding position with the Storm Vermins. Knowing that they don't have any answer to the Angkor Raider, they're just gonna sit there and take all the damage from the arrows. Another Ninja Star, but unfortunately it's just constantly missing. Another deadly Flock of Doom, draining down the health of the Ashen Triads, the biggest threat to the Sandagors really, as they do have that speed to avoid, to just keep the pressure onto Sandagors and chase them down. Also more cost efficient than, I guess, draining down Storm Vermins. because Storm Vermins don't have physical resistance and have more HP. But yeah, anyways, the Chieftain has been isolated, taking out quite a bit of the Sandagors, but still getting swarmed in the end, not doing a whole lot of damage value. Ooh, this is a problem here. A lot of units are just kind of clogging up the area around the capture point, making them perfect targets for those Flock of Dooms. Quick Hat Taker is trying to take. Oh, that was a Ninja Star that hit Malagor. He's now down to a quarter of his HP. It's still having a ways to go. But at least the Ashen Sorcerer can just keep trying. Not sure if he has enough Winds of Magic though. But yeah, Quick Hat Taker is just duking it out against some Sandagors there. Another Ninja Star, another miss on Malagor, unfortunately. And Storm Vermin has been... oh, they were being Psycho Charged. Charged from the front, charged from the back, and also Flock of Doom Drain. And arrows as well, just whittling them down with no answer. The Skavens just really don't have any answers to all these arrows. They can only sit there and take it and just keep eating all those damage. And yeah, seems like the Beastmen have the control in the late game now. Having those arrows intact in the late game, having those bows and arrows intact in the late game is very crucial here to take down those Storm Vermins. As they tire, their armor worsens. Oh, okay, actually, they still have enough vigor to not receive any armor penalty. But either way, those arrows do add up over time, and then Psycho Charges from all fronts, taking out their HP and shocking them into a rout. And yeah, there's still Quick Hat Taker in there and some Storm Vermins, but that doesn't matter. Another couple Psycho Charges. That means the Storm Vermin routes, army losses hits, and even Quick Hat Taker will have to start running. Just like a Quick Hat Taker in the game, in the books, I guess. He doesn't necessarily lose his fights. His army is dead. When his army buckles, he has to go. He has to start running as well. But I guess I haven't read the books actually. I kind of just saw snippets of the actual lore on Reddit and stuff. So don't take whatever I said as accurate when it comes to lore and stuff. But yeah, anyways, very nicely done by the Beastman here, Mr. Krotik, dropping in those Flock of Dooms and Psycho Charging with those Sandagors, getting some really solid damage over the course of battle, and just being able to keep those Angkor Raiders all the way alive into the late game is such a key moment there, allowing them to take out Storm Vermins without losing a lot in melee. Otherwise, they have to fight the Storm Vermins in melee, and even with Psycho Charging, that is going to be an uphill battle against an elite halberd unit. But the arrows were able to just whittle them down, just slowly accumulate damage over the course of the late game, whittle them down, and then shock them into a rout with a big charge from a bunch of surviving Sandagors. Flock of Doom as well, doing a whole lot of damage throughout the course of battle. The Ninja Star did some damage, but unfortunately not quite able to snipe out Malagor earlier, and missing quite a few shots as well. It's not completely accurate after all. Quick Hat Taker not having a lot of good fights. He needs to be fighting enemy characters to make it worth it, but there's no enemy foot lords for him to fight, and against a flying Malagor, he couldn't do anything other than just trying to fight his minions, which is not a lot of value. War Flamethrowers, a lot of them got dragged into melee by the Harpies, and unfortunately didn't do much. And I always love seeing Ashen Triads on the field, but unfortunately, the enemy just is a little bit too fast and a little bit too killy for them. They're more of like a counter-charging unit against armored cavalry. Like, they are decently fast enough that they can act as like a fast response unit. If you're, like, say some Skaven slaves got charged by a heavy cavalry, and then you have these Ashen Triads that can ambush the charging cavalry here. Just trying to act as like a counter-charge. As the enemy is being bogged down in melee, you counter-charge them with the Ashen Triads and quickly take them down with the anti-large armor piercing. But yeah, over here, there's not a whole lot of those. There's no such situation like that. All these Sandagors are just too fast for them to catch up. They manage to just chase them down a bit and drag down a few of these Sandagors here and there, but otherwise they have just not been able to pick the battlefield they want. while the Beastmen are just constantly avoiding bad engagements and picking decent ones for themselves. Very nicely played by both players here, and yeah, we're moving on to the next game. Let's not do another... Yeah, let's just avoid another Skaven for now. Let's jump into Dark Elves versus Tomb Kings. VM Flower as the Dark Elves, going with a leadership... Oh, the Master does have a leadership reduction item, if I remember correctly. And then Tomb Kings, other than bringing a Ethereal unit, they can also bring Doom and Darkness on Arcane the Black. Let's slow down a bit here. Malekith did not have leadership reduction abilities, but the Masters do, I think. Wait, hold on. Huh. Wait, hold on. This player... Wait, I don't... Okay. I don't think this meets... Yeah, this is not a legal army here. Oh well. Though their opponent didn't report any issues, so I just assume all the battles are fine. And also it's just a casual 20, so it's not... We don't have the strictest rule enforcement, but that was a shame. I would love to see something like a Charybdis on the field. Yeah, that would have been really fun. But well, it is what it is. So we'll just keep casting. For the Dark Elf army here, a bunch of Bleak Swords and Dread Spears, guarding some Reaper Bolt Throwers with Cold Knights on the field as well, and Slaanish's Harvesters. Malekith leading the army with a couple Masters accompanying him. And on the other side, for the Tomb Kings, Skeleton Horse Archers, are quite a few of them. A front line of Skeleton Warriors and Crypt Ghouls. And there's one Hexwraith. This is Arcane the Black, so they're allowed the campaign units of Crypt Ghouls and Hexwraiths. They're also a lot stronger than the regular versions. So, yeah. They're only limited to, like, 2 per battle. 2 of each per battle. A front line of Skeleton Warriors, a couple Skeleton Archers, supported by Screaming Skull Catapults, and Skeleton Horsemen, and a single Necropolis Knight with Halberds. Screaming Skull Catapults do have leadership reduction capabilities. The take cover -8 leadership is gonna scare people off. Other than that, we also have Arcane the Black. Let's see their spell kit. Spirit Leech and Purple Son of Zerus. That's about it. Screaming Skull Catapults has been a really shit artillery overall. Finally getting a good hit. One good hit out of the entire volley. That was quite abysmal for a hit rate. Anyways, Hexwraiths are being harassed by the Masters. They themselves taking quite a bit of damage, while the skirmishing arrows are trying to get some damage done here, chipping away Malekith's health. Okay, so Mal is a little bit too slow to do too much damage to the Hexwraiths, and the Masters are being pushed back by the Skeleton Horsemen, knowing that they probably don't want to go in too deep on that engagement. Slaanish's Harvester charges in, and that might be a counter charge from the Necropolis Knights, maybe? Just a maybe, though. As Arcane the Black, oh no, Arcane the Black is caught by Malekith, taking a good chunk of damage there, while the arrows are trying to counteract that. Ooh, a Purple Son of Zerus, though. As the Dark Elves are a little bit too stuck in a melee fight over here. They managed to smash up quite a bit of the Skeleton Horses, but I'm not sure whether the damage comes from the Purple Sun or probably from just shock damage of the Soul Stealer and a bunch of Slaanish's Harvester. And a very deadly Purple Sun, though, deleting half a unit of these Slaanish's Harvester. And some actual hits from the Screaming Skull Catapult, my god. Yeah, take cover. Is that? Oh wait, no, that's still Soul Stealer, draining away the health of these Necropolis Knights with Halberds. While the front line is just mostly being ignored. Not a whole lot happening on the front line right now, as everyone's attention is over here. As even these Skeleton Horse Archers have been forgotten. They probably could have just charged over and shut down the Reaper Bolt Thrower, but everyone's focus is over here for sure. As those Slaanish's Harvester are being driven back, perhaps they might actually rout Nope, they have stabilized their leadership and coming in back for a charge. But what is actually routed are these Koan Knights here fighting the Hexgraves, who have been suffering from the Word of Pain, lower melee attack. But still, their armor piercing, 100% armor piercing is more than enough to drive back those Koan Knights who do not have immune to psychology, which means they can get terrified and take over, dropping their leadership down below, down to -9. Malekith decided to ignore that fight, just trying to stay the hell away from the armor-piercing cavalry, I guess, but and jump over to shut down the skeleton horse archers and trying to keep his eyes on Arcane the Black. But Hexgraves are coming back to help and trying to shut down Malekith, frostbiting him and keeping him in honest and on the ground. The Halberd, oh, unfortunately the Halberd Necropolis Knights are dead, and it is pretty much down to these melee chaff to carry the day, and the one unit of Hexgraves, really. Maybe some Spirit Leeches can help, but yeah, right now all that's left are some cheap units on the Tomb King side. They do have a lot of those left though. Gaze of Malice onto a bog down, the Hexgrave doing some pretty nasty damage and also killing a ton of these skeleton warriors. Skeleton archers are trying to chip away the health of Malekith, but he does have a lot of HP left, and he also has Soul Stealer ready to recover some health while draining away their opponents. So things are not looking too hot for the Tomb Kings here. They're sending up their Crypt Ghouls to try and shut down the enemy long-range contingent, the artillery contingent. But yeah, Malekith is still very much healthy there. There's not a whole lot of ways to burst down Malekith's health at this point. And the Double Masters and Malekith are just gonna start bullying these Hexgraves. They are strong for sure, yeah, don't get me wrong. But against three characters gooning them, yeah, they're gonna be dead. Well, gooning is not the right word, but yeah, you get what I mean. Goon squatting them? But yeah. Crypt Ghouls are trading well into the Dread Spears, and they're summoned Ushaptis to shut down the enemy artillery, but I reckon a better use of the Ushaptis might be just waiting for a good moment to trap the characters and beat down something like, say, Malekith. Because right now I don't see what the Tomb Kings can do to shut down the triple character squad. It is a very nasty combo here. And Tomb Kings do not have the abilities to take that one out. Yeah, I don't know, man. Especially without the Ushaptis now. The Crypt Ghouls are still fighting fine. They're losing a lot of health. But they should take down a lot of things as they go down. The problem is just Arcane the Black is going to go down here. One last Soul Stealer, and that is going to be army losses? Yeah. Losing the Hexgraves, losing the Necropolis Knights really early means that the Tomb Kings just don't have any answer against this Dark Elf triple character Goon Squad. Unfortunately, the Dark Elves don't... the Dark Elves army is actually a rule break from the special rule I imposed. So, that was unfortunate. I don't know what kind of a result did they reported this as. But yeah, their opponent didn't report any issue, so I assumed the battle was fine. And proceeded without any dispute. But yeah, their opponent definitely need to be reminded of the special rule next time. Yeah. But yeah, Arcane the Black did some good damage, but unfortunately there's no answer to a big flying single entity dragon there. And yeah. Which means Malekith was basically free to do whatever the hell it wants. There's no Ushaptis with great bows to check him, and the Halberds died early as well, trying to chase down the enemy cavalry, but then just taking a lot of damage in the process as they push through. But yeah, mostly is Malekith carrying the day on this build, really. Okay, this one they did bring Burning Head on this one, so that's fine. They probably just forgot about the rule on the first game, but yeah, actually just jump into this one, Warriors of Chaos versus Skaven. This is played by yours truly here versus Scarborough and Exiled here. Yours truly playing as a bunch. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, this is a nasty one. If I remember correctly. But yeah, anyways, 4 Chaos Trolls and my Leadership Bomb combo attempt. Doom and Darkness with the Doom Totem, a -20 leadership in total, and then terror causing Rotting Riders. There's also Spirit Leech and Tormentor Sword. The rest of the army is a front line of Marauders, backed up by a bunch of Chaos Trolls. Basically, for infantry plus monstrous infantry combo. There's also some Forsaken and Hellstriders on the flank. As for the other side of the battlefield, we have the Skaven Slave Spears from Sepa. Oh, wait, hold on. That's from Scarbrand Exile there. Scarbrand, they do have to bring 2 Ashen units, so Deathmaster, Snitch, and a bunch of, wait, where's the... I remember, yeah, I remember seeing Ashen Triads in this game. Ashen Triads on the side as well. Red Ogres, Warlock Engineer with Howling Warp Gale and Warp Lightning. Warp Lightning is a very cost-efficient spell with very high concentrated damage. Great for expensive entities, like, for example, my Rotting Riders. Red Ogres, let's see, Ashen Triads, Red Ogres, Clamored Spears at the back there, no weapons, oh wait, 1 weapon seems in the form of Teeth Breakers. And there's also Gorich. Gorich and Deathmaster can both do some pretty nasty damage. But there's no wire, oh, interesting. Cloak of Shadows have a -4 leadership. I don't even notice that. They didn't bring the Beyblade ability of Deathmaster Stitch, but Gorich does have some AoE damage with the Evisceration. He instead of the Assassin Beyblade, we have the instead of the Ashen Beyblade, we have the Mordor Beyblade. But yeah, that's it for the army builds on both sides. Let's get the battle started. Oh wait, there's also the Hell's Guitar, Morse Guitar's Hellion. Anyways, my infantry is rushing for it. I see they don't have any Poison Gloves, so I was like, yeah, I can just jump and dumpster those Skaven Slave Spear frontline, no problem. And yeah, this is exactly what I did. Sending in those Chaos Trolls first against against the Skaven Slaves who do not have that charge defense against large. While my Terra Bomb squad over here is just standing by. Now trying to just jump on the Skaven Slave Spears and quickly break them apart. I'm doing pretty well in the front line there, but the Teeth Breakers are breaking the teeth of those Chaos Trolls there, just shooting in close distance. Unfortunately, there's quite a little bit of a line of sight issue, so not every single one of them is shooting, but yeah, still doing a whole lot of damage against my Chaos Trolls. Chaos Trolls, Forsaken, they are now pushing through, and I've managed to terrorize this little blob of Skaven Slave Spears. And Marauders and Chaos Trolls are fighting in the mix here, trying to beat back the enemy characters, but the Chaos Trolls are taking a lot of damage. Just fighting against anti-large Ashen Triads. As I said, they are more of a counter-charging unit. Just counter-charging my trolls and just taking them down. Forsaken are in the fight now. I'm just trying to force a big break and just keep pushing back those Skaven front line there. Just keep driving them back in an attempt, but and maybe trying to charge down Gorich, but he's not taking much damage here, despite my attempt to send those Watching Riders against him, because there's some Skaven models nearby, just body blocking for him. And now the Morse Guitar's Hellion jumping in and start taking a chunk of health from my Rotting Rider, Spirit Leech onto Gorich. I'm trying to take out these characters here, but Snitch is coming! Snitch is coming! And Warp Lightning blasting these bunched up Rotting Riders. They're now down to the half health. And also Gorich is blowing them up. Snitch's Deathmaster's Sigil. Locking down my Chaos Sorcerer Lord, I have no choice but to send something in to and help them out. These Hellstriders managed to clean up the Teeth Breakers and might be able to jump in and reinforce the leadership here. Forsaken and Marauders are trading well into the enemy chaff and even Red Ogres maybe, but the Trolls are not holding up, too well here. And there's a single entity squad that I am struggling to deal with soon. As the Ashen Triads and Red Ogres are cleaning up whatever cavalry units I'm throwing into the mix. Also, the Rotting Riders are being forced to stay in the fight here, just trying to bail out my Lord and character here. I'm doing some good damage to the Morse Guitar's Hellion and Gorich, but the problem is that my own elite unit, the Rotting Riders, are taking a lot of damage in the process, fighting against a ton of armor-piercing entities, and also Deathmaster in the fight. Giving giving them that minus 50% armor Weeping Blade debuff down to 50 armor only. Not that there's any non-armor piercing damage, but still. Every little bit helps, because every unit has, except ethereal units, have non-armor piercing damage. So it is still a damage buff for the Skavens. Spirit Leech onto Gorich. I definitely made a mistake here. I should have Spirit Leech Deathmaster Snickage instead. But yeah, anyways, I'm sending in troops trying to drag down these single entities, but I am struggling for sure. Forsaken are doing fine, and Trolls are kind of healing at the back there, but I don't know how much good they can do. I totally forgot about these Marauders of Khorne. That was a big mistake on my end. And what's left of the Teeth Breakers actually managed to come back and start whittling down my Chaos Saucer. Oh, that was such an unfortunate thing that happened. I should have kept chasing them down, but I thought they're dead. They're not gonna hang around for long anyways. And I underestimated them. They're a regiment of renown that came back and did some good work. While over here, another explosion probably from Gorich there, blowing up the Forsaken. And I'm running out of troops. My troops are running low. The Ashen Triads are getting some solid damage done over time. And the Teeth Breakers are whittling down whatever is nearby with their barrage of fire. The Hell's Riders are just gonna try and go after them, maybe? Maybe? They're just chasing down Ashen Triads. But yeah, right now I'm slightly ahead in balance of power, but I'm not too confident here. The Cage is still almost full health, and he can anytime sneak close to the Chaos Sorcerer Lord and just lock him down. Like a Deathmaster Snigil right here. Yeah, the Mosquito's Helene is jumping in. I need to throw in those Rotting Riders just to try and keep my Lord alive. I should have just keep him a lot further away and keep spamming Spirit Leeches. That was a big mistake on my end, and it might cost me the game, as the Rotting Riders are now being stuck in a fight against a lot of armor piercing. Two different mutated Rat Ogres, and on top of the Ashen Triads piling in Red Ogres and a Warp Lightning blasting them down. Yeah, they're taking a lot of shock damage. And I'm running out of resources. Chaos Trolls barely hang on right now, as they don't have the most solid leadership after all. Forsaken piling in, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Warp Lightning can probably just clear out all my inventory, and yeah, I'm just trying desperately to Spirit Leech down stuff like Gorich. Big mistake on my end. I should have Spirit Leeched the Deathmaster. But yeah, I'm just throwing in whatever I can get to kill everything in the block fight. Maybe it'll work. Actually, balance of power is slightly in my favor, actually. And I still have some resources left, some Marauders here and there. And I still haven't remembered to bring back these Khorne Marauders. That was such a big mistake on my end. Oh, no. Actually, Warp Lightning taking out a huge chunk of my Forsaken, and the Trolls are now being terrified by the presence of Gorich and the Mosquito's Hellion. Managed to rout off Gorich, but why did I send in the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Death over here? Spirit Leech onto Gorich, trying to make him rout. Oh wait, I actually won this. I thought I lost this one. Never mind. Wait, what? Wait, I thought I lost this one? Wait, no. Was there a change? Was there an update earlier? What the? Oh no. There must have been an update earlier. Hold on a second. No, I distinctively remembered. Wait, no. I won this one. Never mind. I thought I lost this one. Never mind. I remembered it wrong. I thought I lost it to the single entity spam, but very much the Warp Lightnings did well. Wait, no. Wait, hold on. Yeah, I thought I lost this one. I didn't actually. I managed to win it. Yeah. I remembered it wrong. Never mind. But yeah, I suppose the leadership debuffs does help quite a bit. Yeah, that was. My memory tricked me. God damn it. It's only been a few days. I should have remembered that. But yeah. Managed to win this one. The Triads did some really good work especially against my Rotting Riders and Trolls. They did well. The only problem is that the Teeth Breakers got caught early by the Hellstriders and got pushed back. The single entities did really well. But I did have quite a bit of healing from the Chaos Trolls, and smashing through those infantry means with the Chaos Trolls means that I didn't have to deal with a lot of infantry support other than the Ashen Triads, which the Forsaken can do quite well and just clear out those infantry. I probably should have remembered those Marauders earlier. I basically forgot about them throughout most of the battle. That was a weird mistake on my end. Shows how rusty I was after 1 month of hiatus. Excuse me. But yeah. The House Riders did well, clearing out, chasing down all the routed troops, and also just, they trade really well into Red Ogres with the anti-large. While the Red Ogres not having a lot of armor means that they take full damage from the House Riders, especially if they get charged from the rear or from the flank with the devastating flanker trait. But yeah. The weapons teams didn't do a whole lot of work. The single entities trying to carry their own weight, but unfortunately, the leadership of the Skavens has been a problem. Especially when there's a -4 leadership from the Exalted Hero and the Doom and Darkness, I suppose. Yeah. Yep. Next up we have Tomb Kings versus High Elves. Tequila Sunset with the High Elves, playing with a lot of Rangers. And Ragras Pride, again, for the leadership reduction, against Kodex's Ethereal unit, the Hex Wraiths. Well, let's slow down a bit and check out the army builds here. For the Tomb Kings, a front line of Skeleton Spears, Skeleton Warriors, and the Capra Guard. A line of infantry, as well as some Crypt Ghouls on the flanks. Way better than regular Crypt Ghouls. Ushapti at the back there, 3 of them infect, and 1 Necro Sphinx to deal with armored cavalry or single entities. There's also Arcane the Black. Well, of course, with Spirit Leech and Purple Son of Zerus, they have the ethereal unit of the 1 lone Hex Wraith somewhere. Oh yeah, Vanguard deployed all the way on the other side of the battlefield with alongside Skeleton Horsemen, fulfilling that ethereal spooky unit requirement. As for the High Elves, the front line of Rangers, backed up by a bunch of Silver Helms with shields and War Lions. One of them, the Ragras Pride, with the Mighty Roar -8 leadership, -25% speed to fulfill the spooky unit requirement. Illyrian Reaver, Archers, and in the skies, we have an Archmage of Metal with Searing Doom and Final Transmutation. That's it for army builds. Let's get into regular speed as the Rangers are rushing towards the enemy army, trying to cut through the enemy infantry as quick as possible. But they do have to deal with a lot of Ushaptis, which is going to be a struggle for them. They don't have any armor piercing to deal with enemy constructs, but they should be able to clear out enemy infantry just fine. War Lions also leading the charge, getting some really nice impact damage with their bonus versus infantry and also charge bonus. Ooh, the Illyrian Reaver Archers overstayed their welcome, getting stuck in the Crypt Ghouls for a little too long. They're taking a lot of damage in the process, while not realizing that, oh, whoa, there's the Vanguard deployed mobility here, trying to ambush the enemy skirmishing forces, and it seems like they managed to do exactly that. Something happened here. Oh. Noble trying to fight one-on-one against the Necro Sphinx, but there's also the Crypt Ghouls coming into support, and the Necro Sphinx is beating the hell out of the double Noble. That was quite unfortunate. And Purple Son of Zerus on top of the overlapped Silver Helms and Rangers. Oh, that is such a painful loss. Basically, both units are knocked out. At least, yeah, most of the Silver Helms are knocked out. The entire Ranger unit got deleted. Rangers are losing to the Ushapti and Chaff combo. And Capra Guard completely outtrades them, being a superior self-regenerating unit. And seems like the melee rush attempt from the High Elves is suffering a big defeat here. I think we can fast forward this one as the whole line of Rangers just crumbled in the face of a combined assault of Skeleton Chaff and Ushapti. Plus the Necro Sphinx beating up the double Noble. Arcane the Black is just chilling, and that leaves pretty much just the Archmage of Metal there. A desperate attempt of Final Transmutation, but it's way too late, too little too late, and that is basically GG here with a crushing, with an overwhelming victory from the Tomb King side, crushing those Rangers right at the first minute of engagement. Yeah, and getting a very overwhelming victory. But yeah, Rangers is just such an expensive and cost inefficient unit. You can see they didn't even earn back half of their worth here, being suppressed by those Bushaktis. See, what's this? Next up, let's I'm just wondering what to pick next. We haven't seen a lot of Tinge, so let's just find the Tinge battle again. Let's watch Skaven. And you know what? Let's just go for this one. Vampire Coast versus Dark Elves. And this time the Dark Elves did remember to bring a leadership reduction unit in the form of Burning Head. And on Sipa's side, they brought he brought a Ghost Lady. Let's see. Yeah, well, there she is. Celestra Diafine. A front line of pistol mobs, backed up by a line of deckhand mobs with polearms, and then a third line of Morngulls, flanked by some Lamprey's Revenge and more polearm deckhand mobs and Scurvy Dogs. More Scurvy Dogs on the other side. There's also the Regiment of Renowned Night Terrors. Let's see what Diafine has for spell kit. Tide Call and Ghosts of the Past. That's about it. There's also the Lore of the Deep also have like a leadership reduction spell, the Fog of the Damned. They didn't bring this one though. It's mostly just using Tide Call to thin out enemy infantry units, I suppose. And on the other side, we have the Dark Elves. Let's see. I think the Bloodwreck Shrine has some kind of debuff, but I forgot what exactly is the debuff. Anyways, Supreme Sorceress of Fire with a Burning Head and Flamestorm. Let's see. Where's the Assassin? The Assassin has some kind of debuff abilities. But no, just bringing the Web of Shadows and Web of Shadows only in this one. At least they brought a leadership reduction ability, so that there's that. Anyways, there's the Shades with dual weapons on the right flank. Not only can they shoot down armored crabs, they can also cut through zombies with their bonus versus infantry decent melee stats. Harpies in the Skies, line of Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, and some Dark Riders at the back. Double Bloodwreck Medusa, and yeah, that's it for army. Oh, and also some Ripper Bolt throwers aiming down at Silostra Diafine. Interesting. I probably would expect them shooting at the crabs or the Morngulls. While the Bloodwreck Medusa is just chipping out the pistol mobs with their eye lasers. But yeah, pistols are firing back, and the Vampire Coals are marching forth. Unfortunately, the Scurvy Dogs, they were trying to jump on the Shades, but yeah, as you can see here, the Shades just minced them down with their dual weapons. Burning onto the pistols, doing some pretty solid damage, but not a whole lot of work. It's just half a pistol unit, not even killing one unit. Ooh, more the Scurvy Dogs jumping in. They did get a better engagement in actually getting a charge. I suppose the other one didn't get a charge this time, previously. Well, Shadows onto the Night Terrors, but they're probably going to move away from the ability. Nope, they didn't manage to move away entirely as the Assassin is moving in. The Night Terror is jumping in, just trying to silence the Shades with dual weapons, while the Pistol is moving in to just blast them down. On the other side, there's some Dark Riders. Did they just try to charge Lamprey's Revenge? No doubt. No wonder why they got wiped out. Oh, maybe they were caught by the Scurvy Dogs actually. That probably explains better. Yeah, the Scurvy Dogs already got some really solid kills. So yeah, they probably caught the Dark Riders and just killed it. And Reaper Bolt Throwers are now aiming at the Lamprey's Revenge, while the Damn Knights Errant are being summoned onto the field, aiming straight for the Reaper Bolt Throwers with nothing protecting the back line there. Morngulls are charging, and Morngulls charge into the Bleak Swords and just pummeling them down. And the slow but steady zombie hordes are close by. Of course, the Damn Knights Errant and Morngulls are faster, so they manage to get to the front line and absolutely smashing up those poor Bleak Swords. Oh, the the Dark Elves front line just completely crumbled and in an instant. While the man, these these Mongols are tough. The Knight Terrors, you probably remembered how focused were they, how much resources were focused onto them earlier. Like Dark Riders charging in, Shades shooting at them, Harpies jumping in as in the vicinity, and Canine Assassin was also in the fray. But they managed to survive all that until the Shades were broken off, and the pistols did significant damage to the Shades with dual weapons as well. I wonder if the Shades with dual weapons would fare better if they just pull out their swords and charge into the pistol mobs. Either ways, yeah. It is at this point, it is pretty much a very uphill battle for the Dark Elves. Their entire front line is gone. And Mongols are intruding into the missile units, just tying them down. Damn Knights Errant knocked out the Reaper Bolt throwers. There's only a couple Bloodwreck Medusa on the field, while the zombies are... There's still a horde of zombies nearby, ready to just grind down all the Dark Elf troops. Especially the scattered formation of the Dark Elves means that once the Mongols charge down an isolated unit of Dark Elf infantry, yeah, they don't have a lot of support nearby to keep them, to help beat back those Mongols. Yeah. I feel like using the Reaper Bolt throwers to shoot at Silos or Diafine was probably a mistake. They definitely would have benefited more if those bolt throwers were shooting at something like, say, Mongols, Lamprey's Revenge, and that sort of stuff. And yeah, also the Shades are too expensive, meaning that they have less resource for everything else. And one of the Shades the Shades were constantly being tied down by scurvy dogs. I guess even with the scurvy dogs dying fast, there's still a value in just keeping those Shades busy, denying them from shooting, and meaning that the Vampire Coats have more time to move the units in range to charge those Shades and kill them. So yeah, that is gonna be a very decisive victory for the Vampire Coats. Very well executed rush there. And the Bloodwreck Medusa, despite having very good anti-infantry capabilities, there's not a whole lot of infantry for them to shoot at. All the value went into the monsters here, and the Bloodwreck Medusa are not cost efficient in fighting monsters, whether at range or in melee, especially when these monsters can heal themselves. Yeah, all of these monsters can heal themselves. The Lamprey's Revenge has self-regeneration, and all the Mongols have the hunger and regenerate while in the fight. So yeah, while this build is pretty much geared to fighting armored constructs and big infantry blobs, there's nothing prepared here other than maybe the Reaper Bolt throwers against the Mongols. Yeah. I feel like Vampire Coats these days, if you're fighting them, you definitely have to prepare for Mongols, because everyone and their mother is using Mongols when they're playing as the Vampire Coats. Yeah, it's just a much more common monster these days. People are finally noticing that unit. Alright, next up we have Tomb Kings versus Tinge Codex. With the Tomb Kings army, a front line of skeleton warriors, 2 crypt ghouls, 1 Kepra guard, 3 Ushaptis with melee weapons, the Sphinx of Uzcath, Eyes of Desert, and leading the army Arken the Black with... what does he have in spell kit? Doom and Darkness, Purple Son of Zerus, and Spirit Leech. No Hexwraith, so that's why he had to bring the Doom and Darkness. On the other side, for the Tinge army, a front line of pink cores, and backed up by a bunch of Marauders of Tinge, and some Shrieking Scaries on the far side, plus a bunch of Xantigors on the left flank hiding in the forest, biding their time. What else? Leading the army is Changeling into Blue Scribes once again. You don't see that very often. So yeah, once again fulfilling that leadership, the spooky requirement with the Blue Scribe. Not I'm surprised. I would expect a burning head in this matchup against all the skeletons, but okay. I love seeing a blue scribe here and there. Anyways, these sour guts and pink horse are trying to shoot at the Sphinx of Uskav. Big mistake here. Sphinx of Uskav, unlike regular Tomb King's unit, they do have that fire resistance, mitigating part of that incoming Warp Flame damage. And yeah, just not caring. Crypt ghouls and skeletons are rushing forth though, and but yeah, they're being countercharged by a bunch of Marauders of Tinge instead, just being bogged down over there. These Marauders all have spears, and yeah, just holding the line. Arkan the Black, with alongside some Ushapti just rushing. Oh, looks like there is a Comet of Cassandra there. Blue Scribe getting a pretty good spell right off the bat, blasting some overlapped skeleton warriors and crypt ghouls. But yeah, Kepra God is just cutting through the pink horrors just fine, and skeletons are, yeah. The front line is pretty much a wet noodling fest here, unless it's the Kepra Guard. It's just skeletons versus marauders. Neither of them very good at fighting infantry, because the marauders are spear units. And yeah, the Ushaptis are at the back there, trying to hold as like a reserve unit. But here comes the Xanagors unleashed from the... Wait, what happened over there? Wait. What? Oh, whoa. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna replay this shit. Because there's a lot of good spells coming in from the blue scribes. Apologies. I'm gonna jump in for a replay. Because I'm missing all the spells. What the fuck? But yeah, Alex once again going with the Changeling into blue scribe combo. That is just funny. Alright, let's fast forward and back to the point where we have to look at this side of the engagement. We're putting too much focus on the other side. Alright, so a lot of units overlapping over here. Skeleton warriors, crypt ghouls just stacking on each other, trying to punch through the Marauders of Tinge. But here comes a Comet of Cassandra, deleting basically a whole unit's worth of HP there. On the other side there, Tentacles of Tinge trying to fight the Sphinx of Uskav. Doing some good job though, but they're making a big mistake. They're fighting Arkan the Black, having access to the Lure of Death. A massive Purple Son of Zerus right on top of these two very expensive Xanagors. That's 2,000 gold worth of value there, gone in one spell. Well, there's the firewall. If I remember correctly, that's a lore of Yang spell. Yeah, I think that's a lore of Yang spell if I remember correctly. Just wiping a bunch of skeletons. You don't always need Burning Head, I guess. Just wiping a line of enemy infantry, but that is not gonna equalize the value loss from losing 2 units of Xanagors to one single Purple Son of Zerus. The Xanagors we've seen earlier managed to circle around and jump onto the Eyes of Desert, doing some really good job there, but there's also another Ushapti countercharging them. And here comes the Sphinx of Uskav, a giant terror-causing piece that quickly terrifies the Xanagors, and then Drinking Skyrace jumps in, but it's too late now. The Xanagors are routed off. And yeah, I think the Tomb Kings have this one. Just from that brutal Purple Son of Zerus alone. And of course they're also winning the infantry engagement because of the Ushaptis reinforcing the dirt cheap skeletons, pushing through the enemy front line, bogging down those pink horrors into melee combat. The firewall ability from Blue Scribes was not enough to equalize the playing field. And again, losing those Xanagors, man, that just hurts. And the missiles of the pink horrors are gonna be wasted now since the Marauders are dealt with. There's nothing to protect them anymore. And yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much cleanup duty at this point. Yeah, Blue Scarab is just chilling in the skies trying to pick off the enemy units, but Eyes of Desert outshoots them completely, and that is just gonna be a victory for the Tomb Kings there. Man, that purple Son of Zerus deleting 2 units of Xanagors, that was just brutal. And if I remember correctly, the Spears Marauders are more expensive than the regular Marauders. Probably shouldn't have brought those instead of just bring regular Marauders. And spare a little bit more funds for other units, maybe. Yeah, because those Oshapti just crushed those poor Marauders of Tinge, even with even if they have that anti-large. That's not gonna make much of a difference, and the Crypt Ghouls trade really well into them as well. Yeah, Eyes of Desert got most of the value in the end by shooting at the poor blue scribes. But yeah, it's really that purple Son of Zerus nuking 2 Xanagors and then the front line crumbling, basically sealing the deal for this battle. Really cool to see the blue scribes once again though. You can even see the Lore of Yang firewall spell. Don't get to see that a whole lot. Apologies. Yeah, as I said, there's still a little bit of cuff lingering, and I'm not completely out of the woods yet in terms of that. But yeah, I think that's done for this one. Do we have any overlapped replace? Let me just quickly check. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I think we're good. High Elves versus Skaven next. Let's check this one out. Tequila Sunset versus Milky Way bringing 4 Ashen Triads. Actually, that's not not too bad of an idea, because High Elves might bring Armored Cavalry like the Dragon Princes, which Ashen Triads might do well in this scenario. Anyways, 4 Ashen Triads. Holy shit, that's a lot of artillery. 4 units of Plague Claw Catapult, guarded by the Ashen Triads and a bunch more Skaven Slave Spears. 1 Avalanche Mortars. And Clamorous Spears in the front line as well. Leading the army is Master Assassin, and supported by Plague Priest with Summons, Vermintide, and also the Plague AoE damage spell. On the other side, for the High Elves, a bunch of Elaren Reaver Archers, Shadow Warriors, a line of Rangers once again. Are they gonna actually do something here, or are they gonna get deleted by a combination of Plague Claw Catapults and Avalanche Mortars? We shall see. 11 Reavers on the right flank, and then 4 units of Warlands. I do like this pick into Skavens due to 1, their fear causing trait, and 2, their anti-infantry low model count unit, making them less vulnerable to stuff like Poisoning Globes. As we expect here, Rangers are getting deleted pretty bad. Oh, shit! The Plague Claw Catapult has contaminated. I forgot about that part. Shit. I need to refresh my knowledge on the Skavens. Because, yeah, they do have a lot of leadership reduction abilities. Damn it. But yeah, the Plague Claw Catapults are doing some really nice job here. And alongside the Avalanche Mortars, deleting a bunch of Rangers, but they have now reached the front line. They're just not as good as something, say, and that is just pure friendly fire. There's not a single shot landed in the Rangers. It's just deleting their own Clanrad Spears, but true Skaven fashion, it's friendly fire, like true Skavens, yeah. Rangers are getting into the front line, and Warlines as well. Whew, that is a big friendly fire shot there. The slope definitely did not help, and yeah. Looks like the rival High Talisman dropping the enemy's melee attack, trying to nuke their melee effectiveness here. I don't think that's going to matter too much, as those Clamor Spears are not long for this world. And Avalanche Mortis shooting, I don't know what the fuck they're shooting at. Completely missing those Elaren Reavers, and the front line is breaking, leaving only Ashen Triads and Clamor Spears at the back line to hold the line. And this is, they're not going to hold the line for long. It's Skaven after all. Ashen Triads, maybe. They are a little bit better in melee, and they also have slightly better leadership. They can probably grind down those Rahagra's Pride, but there's just more and more units kind of looping around and getting ready to shut down the Skavens. The first line of defense, all the Claret Spears are shut down, and as a result, the Rangers broke into the back line, killing the Avalanche Mortars. Now they're just trying to shut down the Ashen Triads, And because the Rangers having that anti-infantry bonus, they would trade really well into the lightly armored Ashen Triads and Purple Son of Zerus. Deleting whatever in the vicinity, the War Lions don't care, they don't have enough models to suffer from this AoE spell. While the artillery crew and the Ashen Triads, the Clairets, the Scheming Slaves, they took a lot of damage there. From now on, this is just gonna, the balance of power is gonna snowball in the High Elves' favor. We saw the Skavens having a slight advantage earlier, but now their missiles are being shut down. They have lost their damage dealing component here. There's no, they have no ways to effectively kill the Rangers now that the Avalanche Mortars and the Plague Claw Catapults are all dead. We can pretty much just safe to assume we can fast forward and end the game here, as it is pretty much just clean up now. All that's left are Ashen Triads, which will trade horribly into Rangers. And there's also a bunch of Elan Reaver archers that are just gonna skirmish down whatever's left of the Skavens, just kiting them down or just run down the routed troops. Now at this point it's pretty much just clean up now. Also don't forget that War Lions would do well into those Clan Rats, Skaven Slaves, whatever. And yeah, that is gonna be victory for the High Elves. A very clean rush from Tequila Sunset, a combination of Rangers and War Lions. I do love seeing them actually doing things for once. And also don't forget, War Lions have that armor-piercing anti-infantry, meaning that they're really good against stuff like Skaven weapons teams, which are infantry-sized and usually decently armored. Yeah, I think the Poison Wind Globes have like 110 armor or something like that. And the War Lions can effectively deal with them, while they themselves suffering very minimal damage from Poison Winds, Poison Wind Globes. Avalanche Mortars got killed really quickly because of that. The War Lions got to them. Yeah, Shadow Warriors were just sitting back and shooting, but they got heavily bombarded, so they took a lot of damage. Excuse me. But yeah, that is going to be victory for the High Elves in this one. I think these War Lions got to the Avalanche Mortars, maybe? Yeah. I can't be entirely sure. It's, the Skavens crumbled a little too quick, unfortunately. A very, very thin front line of Clan Rats is not going to hold for long. This is why you have multiple layers, right? When the first line falls, you have a second layer of Skaven chaff to plug the gaps, buying more time for the missiles to shoot. But with so many expensive artillery, you can't really afford that. You can't afford to lose formation because those artillery are not going to protect themselves. You need something standing next to them to actually keep them alive. Yeah, next up, yeah, let's do this one. Vampire Coast versus the Lizard Man. Vampire Coast with a line of... Whoa, that's a lot of pistol. Wait. Are they both trying to do Vanguard deploy spam? Because all of these Vampire Coast troops, except maybe the... Holy shit. Yeah, except maybe the Sirens. Everything else can do Vanguard deployment. I think this might actually be the case here. Oh wait, no, it might not be the case. It's just a ton of Chameleon Stalkers Vanguard deployed. But yeah, once again a full Vanguard deployment except the Skink Priest from the Lizard Boys here. Front line of Chameleon Stalker, no skirmishers. Poco Pop Cohort, Projectile Riders, including the Colossodon Hunters, 1 Pterodon Riders with Fire Leech Bolas to kill enemy infantry. And Nakai the Wonder, he does have Vanguard deployment as well. While the Skink Priest of Heavens is just hiding at the back there. On the other side for the... Oh wait, Skink Priest of Heavens. So there's Wind Blast and Curse of Midnight Wind. Wait, hold on. Oh wait, yeah. Nakai does have the... yeah, Miasma of Despair. -8 leadership, fulfilling the spooky unit requirement. On the other side for the Vampire Coast. A front line of zombie pirate deckhand mobs and Sartosa militia mixed in just a whole ton of there we have the Vanguard deployment here. A whole ton of pistol infantry. And just a lot of pistols, really. Mongols, 4 of them, I think. 4 of them, yeah. And Scurvy Dogs. Plus 1 single siren to fulfill the spooky unit requirement. Arena's assault spite. And she is supported by... Where's the caster? I don't see them. Wait, where's the caster? I swear there's a caster somewhere. I just... What? Oh yeah, there we go. Spirit Leech and Spirit Leech only from the Death Caster. And right out of the gate, Poho Pop cohort got net down by Aranessa's Spearfisher's net. And that means they're exposed to a bunch of pistols in executing range. And Aranessa's Soul Spite, having the anti-armor, anti-large, is gonna start picking a fight against the Poho Pop cohort, who are not able to get a charge, and instead being charged by Scurvy Dogs and Mongols. River Projectile Riders are dropping in, trying to shut down the enemy pistols. And Chameleon Stalkers jumping in and clearing out the enemy pistols as well. But wherever there are Mongols reinforcing, those Chameleon Stalkers are in big trouble, as they do not have the capabilities of fighting monstrous infantry, and they need to rely on the Colossadon Hunters, who are now peppered heavily by those pistols. They don't have a lot of armor, just some missile resistance to help them survive, but that's not going to be enough here, as there's a whole ton of pistols shooting at them. I mean, not a lot of pistols are shooting, but whoever are shooting do have a lot of volume of fire, whittling down the Colossadon Hunters, who have been stuck in the skies for a little too long there, instead of picking a fight they need to be in. That is not going to look pretty for them. They're jumping in and trying to fight Aranessa's Salt Spite. But yeah, Aranessa's Salt Spite won't go down easily, and at the same time, they are surrounded by enemy troops. Oh, the back there, Mongol Hunter, the Mongols are gonna, the Night Terrors are just gonna beat down the Skink Priest of Heaven with Spirit Leech draining him down, trying to deny those Lizardmen from their spellcasting capabilities. Pistol mobs are turning around and firing into those Projectile Riders, who are too busy cleaning up Scurvy Dogs and fighting Mongols right now, taking a bunch of attrition damage. Let's look back over here. The Poco Pop Corps somehow managed to survive those Mongols, despite being heavily surrounded, and the Colossal Hunters jumped in and it did some okay damage to Aranessa. But the problem is that they're still in range of a ton of pistols, and the Spearfishers net disabled the movement of the Colossal Hunters, making them sitting ducks in front of all that pistols executioning fire. And yeah, they're basically being point blank executed by 3 different units of pistol mobs, and they're taking more and more damage over time. Over here, Night Terrors are surrounding Nakai the Wanderer and beating up the Skink Priest and the Chameleon Stalker as well. The zombies' front line is crumbling, and the Sartosa militia doesn't... Oh no! The Colossal Hunters were forgotten in front of a bunch of pistols, and they were just sitting there and getting shot up. Oh no! That's pain. That's a painful sight to see. And yeah, this is the problem of Projectile Riders. Their light armor means that, and the lack of HP means that they're very easily taken out if you don't pay attention to them. Sitting in front of missiles for too long, dead. Sitting in melee for too long, dead. And sitting anywhere for too long and getting targeted by spells and stuff, dead. Yeah, that was painful. Especially they need them to they really need them to take out those pistol mobs in melee, but they no longer have the HP to do so. And the Fire Leech Bolas, I assume they were attempting to blast the zombies and Sartosa militia, but there's only one Fire Leech Bola and so many pistol units. If they're sitting there and just trading fire, they have no way to win against those pistols. But yeah, Nakai duking it out against Aranessa Soul Spite, and Aranessa is kind of winning. She does have anti-large armor piercing, but the Curse of Midnight Wind is dropping her melee attack and giving Nakai the Wanderer a little bit of a better time, but there are still some very healthy Night Terrors nearby, and the Mongols are still... There's still a few Mongols alive. A very healthy unit of Sirens on the field with not much the Lizardmen can do against them. And once the Curse of Midnight Wind wears off, Aranessa manages to get the damage back and start poking down Nakai once again. And yeah, that's victory for Sipa's Vampire Coast. The Mongols are just such a deadly unit, actually. Like, they don't have a lot of armor, but they still they can still hold out long enough with the hunger healing them. And the pistols, man, they did so much work in this game, shooting down those Riperdactyl riders, as they only have 4 units of Riperdactyls, but too many pistols, too many Mongols to deal with. They can't be everywhere all at once. Only 5 units of Chameleon Stalkers. A good chunk of them got pummeled by the Mongols as well. So, yeah, there's just too many pistols for this Vanguard Lizardman build to deal with. They got peppered in the face with lead. And, yeah. Victory to the Lizardman. Victory to the Vampirates. I want to say bloaty boys, but they don't have bloats. They are literally called the bloated rebels, but there's no bloat on the field, so I can't call them bloaty boys. But yeah, GG to both players. Yeah, good damage, decent damage on the Riperdactyls, but still not enough to earn back their worth, being shot up heavily by pistols. Wait, I need to make sure I finish today's stream fast enough, because I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, no, there's no Saturday event today. Probably somebody else is like streaming and stuff, but I don't think I am. I hope I'm not overlapping with anyone. Oh, shit! I didn't even realize. Human Boy didn't. Wait, what? Okay, Human Boy came back. Okay, good. Good to see him around actually. But yeah. Anyways. Yeah, because I remember he didn't update his channel for a while after I went on a holiday and decided to check if anyone posting videos about Total Warhammer. Alright, anyways, that's done. My last battle has bloaty boys, so I'm not gonna cast them too early. I'm gonna cast the other stuff first. So yeah, this is a duplicate battle. But yeah, and we can just keep them over there. Let's see, Skaven versus Tinge. And have we seen this one? I haven't seen this one. Okay, yeah, that's round 4, 5 battles, perfect. All right, let's start off with Scarbrand versus Skaven. Sorry, Tomb Kings versus Skaven. Scarbrand playing as Skaven. He's not versusing any Skaven. He's Skaven. Kodak's playing as Tomb Kings, once again bringing the Hexwraiths onto the field with the spooky unit. Versus Scarbrand the Exiled here, going with, once again, a trip all the single entity spam. Let's slow down a bit, go through the army builds, and yeah. For Codex, Contrarian Codex, a front line of Skeleton Warriors and Crypt Ghouls, flanked by some Skeleton Horses, and backed up by Necropolis Knight and 1 single Hexwraith, fulfilling the spooky unit requirement, leading the army Arcane the Black, supported by a Sphinx of Uskav. Arcane the Black coming with Doom and Darkness and Spirit Leech, so more spooky ability units. As for the Skaven here, a front line of Skaven's Life Spears, more Skaven Spears at the back in the form of Clan Rats, Rat Ogres, and more Rat Ogres on the other side. Ashen Triads, providing that sneaky halberd support. Actually, they can be very good against Tomb King's Construct because of their armor-piercing anti-large. They just can't get charged. They have to be the one charging. That's the only problem here. They also need something to kill the Hexwraith, so there's that. But yeah, magic damage, they do have the Morskatars, Hellion, Gorich, these 2 guys to help out. There's no spell caster here. So Scarbrand going with the Corn method. No spell casting, just going all in on melee. Packmaster providing some healing, perhaps? No, there's no healing on... Oh, wait, no. Yeah, running with the pack, providing passive heals to modern monsters like the Morskatars, Hellion, and Gorich himself. Deathmaster Snake going in with that single entity sniping capability. Also leadership reduction item. Not that it does much against the Tomb Kings, but the melee defense can be nice. The melee defense debuff can be nice. Excuse me. But yeah. Let's go back into normal speed and see what happens here. The triple monster goon squad will have to do a lot of work against the Sphinx of Uskav. And yeah. While the Ashen Triads will have to deal with Necropolis Knights with Halberds. But yeah, on the other side, the Necrotech does provide healing to constructs. So both sides have healing to their special monsters. Ooh, Arkan the Black trying to YOLO himself, but not noticing that their opponent has a Sneakage there, being locked down for a bit there. And as the triple monster goon squad is trying to catch him off guard, and he's now stuck in the middle of a bunch of Skaven slaves. Very nicely done by Skabrand there. Not only is he sending the monsters to catch Arkan the Black, but he's also wrapping 2 units of Skaven slaves and try to just trap him in bodies. And that's exactly what happens. Arkan the Black is now trapped in a bunch of Skaven slaves. He can probably try to push out of there, but it's gonna take him time, and time is not exactly on his side, as there is Gorich turning around and just sandwiching him between he's now sandwiched between 2 mutant rat ogres with Skaven slave spears just kind of in his way, not able to just get out of there. But yeah, he managed to push through. The Skaven slaves, not exactly a lot of mass to block him in. He did take some damage though. On the other side, all the Skaven slaves are just quickly breaking from the pressure of the Crypt Ghouls, and Hexwraiths terrifying those Skaven slaves away. Spirit Leech onto Gorich, trying to make him repay for what he did to Arkan the Black. Unfortunately, that was a very nice catch with the Deathmaster Sigil, just unfortunately not doing a whole lot of damage, as he was managed to move out of the harm's way for most of the time. Anyways, Sphinx of Uskav is trying to go after Gorich, and doing some good damage, but oh, this is a triple goon squad moment. Morse Guitars Hellion, the Packmaster, Gorich himself, and Deathmaster Snitch all piling onto the Sphinx of Uskav. Yes, he is a very strong monster, but I don't think he wants to fight them, all 4 armor-piercing characters at once, especially with Deathmaster in there. And but yeah, Ashen Triads and Red Ogres wrapping around the flank, trying to get to the enemy backline, and maybe trying to catch some of the cavalry, and especially the Necropolis Knights off guard. Anyways, yeah, just like over here, Necropolis Knights trying to fight the 2 Rat Ogres. Normally they can kill the Rat Ogres, but the Ashen Triads are here, dropping their armor and also just cutting them down with the armor-piercing anti-large, while the triple monster goon squad is in the vicinity here, and just trying to gang up on the Sphinx of Uskav. But Hexwraiths are nearby, providing that extra body support, and also, oh, the Sphinx of Uskav does have that fire damage. Oh, and also Hexwraiths too. I forgot about that part. The Tomb King's the Hexwraiths do have fire damage, and they managed to terrify away the. They managed to break away the Packmaster, I guess, and that is GG actually. I thought the Reds can do a bit more, but no, their front line just broken away from all those Crypt Ghouls. Yeah, all the units are kind of scattered away, and the Red Ogres died pretty hard to the Necropolis Knights with Halberds. And yeah, maybe I just need to limit Tomb King's special units to 2 in total instead of 2 each. Yeah, they seem to be still very strong after cutting them down to 2 each. Yeah. Well, with the Packmaster dead, there's no more healing coming in for the Clan Molder monster. And that means the Clan Molder monsters will have a much weaker effectiveness. Like, they can't sustain in a prolonged fight as long, while getting beaten up by a bunch of Hexwraiths and the Sphinx of Uskav. Sphinx of Uskav. So yeah, I guess that's why the Skabrand decided to throw the towel there, because those Rat Ogres are gonna die a lot quicker now that the healing's out, and they don't have the extra leadership. Yeah, not much to say in this battle. It ended very early, and whatever we need to say has been mentioned. Like the clan rats are very spread out. All the rats are very spread out. And while the Tomb Kings concentrated and broke the important bits of the Skaven lines, and even forced a rout on the Packmaster as well. Okay, next up, Lizard Boys versus the Dark Elves here. Curio going with a lot of skinks, a full skink front line, actually some Sauruses. A 1 Saurus Spear, 2 skink skirmishers, no more full Vanguard actually. 3 units of Koan Riders, 4 Koan Spear Riders, and 1 Umbral Tide, led by a Deaf Slam Mage Priest. Yeah. Spirit Leech, Fate of Yuna, and Doom and Darkness. And on the other side, Flower did... Oh, no. He didn't bring spooky units once again. Okay, I probably need to make a note and make sure to mention... yeah. Yeah, I need to make a note about this next time. That is a bit annoying. No, sorry, I'm just checking some records on Discord. Yeah, that is not ideal. Seeing that the Dark Elves are not bringing spooky units in. We're still gonna cast it. It's just flower. Read the rolls, man. That is not ideal. Anyways, so for the Lizardmen here, a front line of skinks and some Koan Riders, and we went through the army builds. Now check the spell kit. Other than the death spell, banishment, shield of all ones, blood statute of spite, and cold blooded. On the other side, the Dark Elves going with a front line of bleak swords, backed up by Koan Knights and Knights of Ebon Claw, Dark Shards, and Malekith Master as well. Okay, I might have to consider banning Flower for 1 special rule tourney, just to make sure he reads the rules next time. Damn it. Anyways, there's no spooky units on the Dark Elf side, which is a disappointment here. Malekith is rushing forward and beelining straight for a Slam Mage Priest, while the Koan Riders are close enough to respawn. Actually, they are just jumping back in and try to trap the enemy characters here, while everyone is just charging straight into the fight now. Koan Spear Riders charging Koan Knights, but it seems like the Koan Knights got a better charge on the Koan Spear Riders. But yeah, at least Malekith is trapped here now. Soul Stealer onto this whole blob though, and oh, Saurus is also in the vicinity, so just trying to drag him down. But yeah, those Soul Stealers are going to be an annoying problem. Umbral Tide are firing in and trying to shut down the enemy Koan Cavalry. There are some Koan Spear Riders on the far side, but can they get into the fight in time? As on the other side, the Koan Spear Riders are buckling, and Koan Riders as well, and the Koan Knights are emerging on top. Koan Knights are jumping in and charging down the skink cohort, but the banishment is just gonna rip through those bleak swords. But oh no, the Dark Shards are firing in, shutting down those poor Umbral Tide. Perhaps a banishment on the Dark Shard would have been better, although the banishment did manage to like pull into some of these Dark Shards and get some decent damage, minor damage in. The problem is that Umbral Tide has stayed in front of the Dark Shards for too long. Good news is that Malekith is still trapped in the middle of Saurus Spears and Koan Riders and getting constantly dragged down. Yeah. But the bad news is that the front line of skinks are completely gone. Now the Koan Knights are in free roam, and also, here comes the Murderous Prowess, giving the entire Dark Elf army a massive boost in killing power. And also holding power as well, as they do have a leadership boost, or yeah, they do have a leadership boost from that. Keeping them in the fight a little longer and doing a bit more damage. And yeah, it seems like the battle is still quite even. Malekith is getting drained down and slowly chipped away by all those anti-large spears and cavalry. But here comes some Koan Knights trying to reinforce those depleted characters here. And they might actually be able to break Malekith out of the surround. Yeah. The Emerald Tide is over here holding on to the... managed to regroup, but yeah. Not having a lot of good targets right now, and accidentally hitting their own Slime Age Priest. You're not Skavens, you're Lizardmen. You're not supposed to do friendly fire. But yeah, Malekith managed to survive despite all the Koan cavalry and spears trying to whittle him down. Another Spirit Leech, can they take out Malekith in time? We shall see. He's down to the last few hundred HP. The Spirit Leech is still on for another 2 seconds. But he dies. Malekith goes down, but so is the rest of the Lizardman army. There's still a full health Dark Shard nearby. The Koan cavalry didn't manage to get as clean of a charge onto the Koan riders. Didn't manage to get a clean charge onto the Koan Knights and got out traded. Knights of the Emerald Claw pushed through. Also, the Dark Shards who were sitting on the hill there. Did a lot of good damage to nearby Koan Spear Riders, and as a result, the Koan Riders suffered a pretty bad defeat. And one final banishment from the Slime Age Priest trying to save himself. Can he do it? Can the banishment do enough damage to get rid of those Koan cavalry from him? Okay, the Knights of Ebenclaw might actually rout. Yes, indeed, it has routed. The other Koan Knight is also suffering some pretty bad damage, but they're still hanging on, barely, but hanging on. Looks like both units are routed. And but yeah, the problem is the Dark Shards nearby. They're still holding on pretty strong with nothing really to threaten them. They're just sitting around, just shooting down whatever units nearby. Master is running low on HP, but going for one YOLO charge onto the Slime Age. A Doom and Darkness trying to force him to rout, and it did succeed. Forcing him to rout, but at the same time, some regrouped Knights of the Ebenclaw going for a counter charge. And yeah, managed to knock out that Slime Age Priest. And sealing victory for Dark Elves. Despite losing Malekith. Yeah, the Koan cavalry did really well here. Unfortunately, we don't see any spooky units on the Dark Elf side. I didn't catch the report in the final replay there, so that was unfortunate. I definitely need to pay more attention on those army builds later on. But yeah, the Spirit Leeches did really well, just draining down Malekith there. Unfortunately, it just took a little too long to take him out, and the Koan cavalry got out-traded pretty badly by the Koan Knight, who managed to get some really good performance in this battle, despite being outnumbered heavily by the Lizardman Koan cavalry. The Sword Spears and one unit of Koan Riders managed to surround and beat up Malekith, which gave them quite a bit of value, but unfortunately the rest of the Koan Spear Riders just didn't do too well, especially when they're exposed to the armor-piercing fire of the Dark Shards. Yeah, Malekith did not fully utilize his potential in this battle, just being stuck in the middle of a blob fight, being grind down by anti-large and armor-piercing attacks. And yeah, the Umbral Tide was also misused as well, being pushed too close to the Dark Shards, being shot up, and just not having a lot of good targets as well. All right, next up, let's look at the bloat. Actually, leave the blue scribes until the end. We are gonna watch the bloat next. We are seeing a quadra bloat build from Sipa there. 4 bloaty boys, 3 gun crabs, one of them the Lamprey's Revenge, 5 pistol mobs, 5 regular mobs, one of them the forgot the name, but a regiment of renown with extra HP. Let's just wait for it to load. Yes, we are in. Slow down, and the Tide of Scold. And leading the army is a ghostly lady, fulfilling the spooky unit requirement there, Celestra Diafine. With Vangai's Revenge and Son of Enthrallment. With double Morgul Hunters, providing that melee support. And on the other side, for the Vampire Coast, our opponents, the Warriors of Chaos, played by yours truly here, a front line of Marauders, backed up by a couple aspiring champions, and then just a ton of Marauder throwing axes and a couple Hell Striders. I'm throwing in an Air Force today, Knights of Immolation supporting an Exalted Hero, and a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire on a Chaos Dragon. Tormentor Sword, Fireball, and Burning Head, fulfilling the spooky unit requirement with the Burning Head. Also, I did bring the Doom Totem on the Exalted Hero. So, double spooky unit, I guess. But yeah, right now I don't have a lot of answers to the Morgul Hunter. And I saw, okay, there are some bloaty boys, but I didn't count how many there are. So I saw that out, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna throw in the Exalted Hero to trigger him. But yeah, there are more on the field. That I did not count for. I did not account for. That made me pay a heavy price for that. Let's go in and see this bloaty boy getting exploded. That's one bloaty boy down, but there are 3 more on the field coming in, and Marauders are just gonna get triggered. I don't have enough resources to deal with the bloaty boys, honestly. So I was like, yeah, you know what? They can die. I can maybe just get the aspiring champions to hold as a front line instead. So yeah, pistols shooting in, whittling down the Marauders, and then Marauder Horsemen throwing axes, whittling down the Lamprey's Revenge. But without the Marauder infantry in the front line, the gun crabs are pushing through, and I don't have enough resources to stop everything. And then I forgot about the Hell Striders of Slanesh on the side here, and they're now being caught by gun crabs. I totally should have kept everything under control. But 1, Sipa is way better than me as a player, and 2, I was very rusty after a month of hiatus. And you can see even the Marauder Horsemen, I totally forgot about them, and letting them bombarded by the Vanguard's Revenge when I should have been dodging that. That was a big mistake on my end, and I paid a heavy price for that. 2 of my very important throwing axes cavalry got heavily damaged and routed, and I don't have enough resources to slow down the enemy rush. Knights of Immolation can hold on quite well against pistol shots, but there's just too much of them, and they were also fighting gun crabs earlier as well. So yeah, a little bit of bombardment. Missing mostly because Sipa very nicely done, constantly moving those zombies. Very much pay attention to where my Knights of Immolation were and just dodge, keeping those zombies on the move and dodging my bombardment, wasting my ability, and yeah. And I'm just completely outnumbered. Balance of power is in my opponent's favor. Those Hell Striders have been routed, have been taking a lot of damage. They have pulled away, but they are now a lot less effective. These aspiring champions are duking out against gun crabs, doing some decent damage over time, but they themselves are not holding on too well against the gun crabs. Burning Hand onto the pistol mobs, trying to wipe out whatever infantry on my opponent's side, and maybe I can get another unit as it's curving into another pistol mobs, doing some really good damage. But that's the only good cast I'm getting here. And I might actually do some friendly fire. They're running away. The throwing axes are running away, but still out, taking quite a bit of damage on my own. But yeah, I left Exalted Hero in a melee fight for too long. They're surrounded by characters and get beaten up. And yeah, things are not looking great here. Aspiring champions, 1 of them are still holding on, the other heavily damaged. And I don't have a lot of answers to the gun crabs at this point, other than the throwing axes, who are too busy being pushed away by the pistol mobs. Yeah, I probably should have just circled them around and try to get to the gun crabs instead of trying to pull them behind. Yeah, that was on my end. That was a mistake on my end, and yeah, and losing those Marauders were also quite painful. I don't have enough chaff to hold back the enemy zombie tide and disrupt the enemy pistols. Another Burning Head. Hopefully can do some damage here, as the Burning Head doesn't really do much against my own aspiring champions, but it didn't really curve into where I want them to be, missing most of the zombie deckhand mob over there. And the Knights of Immolation are completely surrounded by zombies, by gun crabs, and they're being whittled down. I might actually... No, we've seen the bloaty boys exploding. And there's one Marauder Horseman all the way. I forgot about them. Just kind of left them on the edge of the map. Vanguard's Revenge. This time I remembered to dodge it, but it's too late now. The Marauder Horsemen for Ring Axes have ran out of ammo. They're running low as well. And the gun crabs are still very much healthy. These ones especially, and I just don't have the stuff I need to take them out. I'm just trying to maybe take out the Lamprey's Revenge, and before I go down, I guess. But yeah, that is just gonna be cleanup action from here. Pistol mobs counter shooting my Marauder Horseman. Army losses hit, and that shall be GG and victory to Sipa's Vampire Coast. Alright, excuse me for a second there. Alright, just checking some stuff. Apologies. No, not that one. I think, Okay. Alright, cool. Yep. So for the bloaty boys, they managed to earn back their worth by exploding my Marauders. Getting some pretty good value, and yeah. And losing those Marauders early in the game cost a lot for me. And of course, my army isn't exactly built for this kind of Vampire Coast rush. I don't have enough things to take down the rotting Prometheans. The Aspiring Champions can hold the line and beat up zombies all day, but not against gun crabs. They're not built to kill monsters. They can do decent against monsters, but it's not their greatest role for it. And Ring Axes did well. They managed to earn back their worth, but I needed them to do more, especially against the gun crabs. They still managed to hold into the late game, earning their worth and then some more. And a very beautiful Lamprey's Revenge that killed a bunch of my Marauder Horsemen, which is a painful loss for me as well. And yeah, that is GG for this one. That was the end of my run in the tourney. And we have 2 more battle replays remaining. Let me just check. Yeah, let me just quickly check some stuff first. Okay, no, not that one. Okay, there we go. Alright. Sorry, I was just checking something on Discord. Now, back to the last 2 battles for the stream. High Elves versus Beastmen. Tequila Sunset as High Elves versus Mr. Crotic on the Beastmen side. Tequila Sunset finally going back into the staunch line of spears instead of the Rangers. A couple Archers, 2 Loven Sea God, 4 Illyrian Reavers, 2 Reaver Archers, 1 Frostheart Phoenix. Tyrion leading the army with a Mage of Death, Spirit Leech, and Doom and Darkness. On the other side, Doom and Darkness combined with the Terror from the Frostheart Phoenix would be pretty nice. Frostheart Phoenix, also a relatively tanky monster on the High Elf side, would be nice as like a more center piece of terror. Survive a little longer just to fly around and frighten, scare off all those Beastmen troops. And on the Beastman side here, a front line of Angor spear herds, backed up by some Angor raiders, flanked by some pestigors and a ton of harpies, a ton of mobility. Some harpies, Sandagors throwing axes, Sandagors regular ones. Same on the other side with a single Butchers of Kalgan God, acting as like a monstrous anchor of the front line. Leading the army Malagor the Dark Omen with Doom and Darkness and Flock of Doom. And that's it for the army builds here. Now the Elarian Reaver archers are going to start to skirmish, whittling down the pestigors a bit there. They do have missile resistance, so it's not exactly the best target. Definitely better to shoot at the Sandagors throwing axes, for sure. But yeah, staunch line of spear are positioning themselves close to the base of the hillside, trying to form a defensive perimeter, allowing the archers the best line of sight and shower their opponents with a ton of arrows. These poor Angor spears, they don't have shields, so they're taking full damage from those archer fire. Harpies are also being whittled down by the archers and quickly frightened by the Frostheart Phoenix. So yeah, the Beastmen already suffering quite a bit of missile damage as they approach the High Elf front line, and their mobility are not exactly in the position to launch an attack just yet. Flock of Doom onto a couple enemy units, draining their health by the Beastmen, doing some pretty nice stuff. While Butchers of Kalgan God converging onto the Angor spears and just trying to beat up the enemy front line there. Here comes the Sunfang. Oof, big damage onto the Angor spears herds, and quickly gonna see them routing. Pestigors, though, while the staunch line of spear are rather occupied in the front line, they're quickly moving around trying to get into the enemy backline. But oh no, did Malagor drop onto the ground? Why did he do that? Oh no, that is a big mistake. Tyrion is just jumps right onto him and beat the hell out of him, down to half health already. Spirit Leech is coming in as well. And Malagor is probably not gonna be long for this well if there's a couple more Spirit Leeches coming in. And also archers shooting at him. There's so much damage concentrated on the guy. The poor dude is gonna be dead. I would say it's even worth dropping over Spirit Leech just to kill Malagor at that point. He's so low, he's so close to dying. And seems like the Elarian Reavers are now plugging the gaps, just holding back those Sandagors. They're probably gonna lose this one, but yeah, that just buys more time for the archers to keep shooting and whittling down those throwing axes. Spears are holding on just fine against Angors. And Butchers of Kalgan Guard. Oh no, they're fighting spears for too long there. The Angor spears are being broken off. That means they're left all alone against the anti-large spears of those High Elves. They can regenerate, but it's not worth it. It's not worth the loss getting stuck on spears like that. They're supposed to fight cavalry and or like non-spear infantry and stuff like that and terrify them away, not just try and grind the fight out. I mean, they can, but not great. They don't have a lot of armor, so all that spear damage can be quite nasty on them as well. But otherwise, the front line of the staunch line of spear is holding on just fine. There's only one spear being taken out so far, while the Elarian Reaver is still just sacrificing their own lives to delay the advance of the Sandagors, while over here they're just skirmishing against enemy Sandagors. And they do have that range advantage over the throwing axes, meaning that they can just skirmish more effectively against enemy Sandagors. I don't think this Doom and Darkness was even needed in this one here. Tyrion and the Frostheart Phoenix fighting back to back, shoulder to shoulder. Even the Mage of Death is in there, just beating up those poor Butchers of Kalgan Guard. And don't forget, Tyrion has fire damage, which means he has another 20% damage boost against those poor Butchers of Kalgan Guard. Now they're probably going to go down pretty soon. Spirit Leech onto the Butchers of Kalgan Guard, while Malagor just flying around. Not even dare to approach this Deathcaster. At least the archers have been seen off by a combination of harpies, archers, and Flock of Dooms, I guess. But yeah, that's not going to be enough here. Finally, the right flanks Elarian Reavers are dead, allowing those Sandagors to start charging down the Loafen Seagull. But these are Loafen Seagull, they're technically also a spear unit, and they will hold on for a little longer against the Sandagors. Well, over here, the Elarian Reavers are still just delaying the advance of enemy Sandagors, and now that the Butchers are dealt with, Tyrion and the Frostheart Phoenix are free to push back the enemy Senegors, and these spears are out of position, trying to push the enemy Angor Raiders. But that's fine for them, honestly. The rest of the spears are more than enough to deal with whatever threats remaining on the Beastman's side. Yeah, let's do a bit of fast forward here as the the High Elves are consolidating. Oh, actually, the Beastmen are fighting back a bit there. Senegors cycle charging them, taking out some of the Loven Sea Guard, while Angor Raiders are shooting at the backs of these Loven Sea Guard. But unfortunately, the Reavers archers managed to shatter the Butchers of Calgengard. Not that lone Butcher of Calgengard. No longer Butcher, it's just Butcher now. Butcher of Calgengard can't really do much at this point of battle. Spears getting drained by Flock of Doom, but at the same time, Spirit Leech onto Malagor. Yeah, another Spirit Leech, he's probably gonna be dead. And Throwing Axes are still very much healthy, but I don't see how I don't see how they can take down the Frostheart Phoenix, a Tyrion who still haven't used his Heart of Avalorn, and a bunch of spears on the field. Let's fast forward here as the Beastmen are being slowly cleaned up here. The Alarian Reavers are able to just run down the routed units. Being intercepted by Senegors is not great for them, but the Frostheart Phoenix diving in and can quickly turn the battle around. And then it's basically army losses for the Beastmen. Victory belongs to the High Elves. Alright, excuse me. Alright, okay, so Reaver Archers did well, just skirmishing down the enemy lightly armored Senegors. The Alien Reavers mostly used as like a sacrificial roadblock, slowing down the push of the Senegors, allowing the Archers to do more damage, just buying more time for them to shoot, especially this one unit of Sloven Seaguard did so much work. I'm not sure what they were shooting at. Maybe it's for against the Senegors Throwing Axes, maybe it's against the Angor Raiders, maybe it's against the Senegors, maybe or just against Pestigors and stuff, but yeah. The fact that the archers were able to just sit back and just keep firing did help the High Elves a lot, and then the Frostheart Phoenix combined with Tyrion beating up and pushing back those Witches of Calgengard, who has overstayed their welcome in the middle of a bunch of spears, which was unfortunate for them. And nice Spirit Leeches as well, draining down Malagor and stuff. Let's see. As for the Beastmen over here, the Pestigors did well. Not sure what they were fighting. They were on the right, so they probably fought some Alarian Reavers and stuff. Angor Raiders shoot up a bunch of Loven Sea Guard. Because the Alarian Reavers were too busy fending off the Senegors, nothing was really threatening the Angor Raiders, so they were able to sit back and just keep firing and earn back their Valiant and some more. But yeah, the Throwing Axes didn't do a whole lot there, outranged by all those High Elf archers, and the Butchers of Calgengard being sacrificed in the middle of the enemy front line was a pretty big loss. And one last battle this time. Is this still a Blue Scribe transformation? Is it still a Blue Scribe transformation? We shall see. I can't really tell. But yeah, Skaven versus Tinge, Milky Way versus Alex. One last battle for the day and for the tourney. And yeah, we shall see. Let's see what builds are there. On the Skaven side, are we seeing any spooky units, or are we seeing leadership bombs? Oh, there's the contaminated unit. Yep, there we go. Contaminated unit. The contaminated effect of the Black Scab's Plague Pack. It does imbue a -10 leadership effect. A front line of Clamorous Spears backed up by a bunch of gutter runners with poison, the 360 shooting variant, and then Poison Wing Globes with more Gutter Runner, this time the Slingers variant. So no 360 shooting for them. Red Ogres, a few Red Ogres just providing some mass and armor piercing. 4 of them actually bring max Red Ogres, I see. Seer of Plague with Warp Lightning and Howling Warp of Ruin, not Plague. Howling Warp Gale and Warp Lightning. Dreaded 13th spell to just bomb the hell out of the enemy front lines, and then getting a Storm Vermin. Scorch and Unholy Clamor. On the other side, for the Siege army, a weird formation, just spread out, very much spread out. Zangors on the left, Marauders in the front, and then a few more Forsaken on the right, trying just to get a surround on the Skavens, no doubt. Leading the army is once again Changeling into Blue Scribes. I have no idea what spells they have, we just have to wait and see. Flamers of Tinge, just to burn down the enemy front line, I assume, and quickly shock the Skavens into retreat. That is going to be a very, very lethal unit against the Blightscap Plate Pack, so we shall see if the Blightscap's Plate Pack are getting burnt, or will they manage to actually frighten off some poor Tinge Marauders. But yeah, the Clanrats are immediately getting burned down by those Flamers, but I think they are a good target for the Slingers to shoot at, honestly, being how fragile they are. And yeah, it seems like the Gutter Runners are getting close and trying to shoot at the Flamers of Tinge. But yeah, Chaos Furies are coming in from the flank and just trying to drop onto the enemy back line, shutting down those Poison Wing Glows. But it looks like there's a Lore of the Deep, Dullers of the Deep being dropped onto the field. The first spell from the Blue Scribes. Rotting Prometheans being summoned on the field here and trying to shut down those Poison Wing Globes. While the Flamers continues to burn away the Skavens. Clara Spears barely managed to make contact with them and quickly being routed due to how much damage they took. But here comes more Red Ogres. They are sneaking through the gaps of those Marauders, trying to get to the Flamers at the back. And because all that mobility are being... there's no mobility, actually. There's no mobility on the Tinge side, so there's nothing left to defend these Flamers of Tinge. Martin Promethean still just disrupting the enemy backline there. Poison Wing Globes are not in the position of firing, especially with Furies jumping onto them. Now the Forsaken managed to get into flanking position there. Tangors also moving into flanking position, wrapping around, trying to threaten those Skaven's rear and flanks. Oh, and was that a Tide Call? Was that a Tide Call onto this blob of Poison Wing Globes? And yeah, that was a Tide Call. It looks like this Blue Scribe is constantly getting those Lore of the Deep spells and getting some decent work done onto the Skaven's left flank. Yeah, left flank. And the Zangors are also moving, just quickly crushing those Poison Wing Globes, who were not able to do much against the quick flank of the Zangors here. That was a really brilliant surround and flanking maneuver from Alex here, from the Tinge player. The Blightscap Plague Pack is doing well against whatever they're fighting, but the rest of the Skavens are crumbling. Their armies are too spread out, and there's just not enough. They're not in a tight formation that can defend against this kind of flanking and surround. And as a result, a lot of their units are just fighting on their own, being broken apart by the superior mobility. A Searing Doom from the Blue Scribe, and just trying to bombard the Blightscap Plague Pack. A wise choice there, don't want to fight them in melee, so you're just gonna have to kill them with spells, since missile is not an option for you anymore. So yeah, decent damage overall. Scorch onto some Zangors, trying to thin out their numbers. Warp Lightning as well, just bombarding them, doing some nice damage overall, but I don't know if that's enough. The Poison Globes are all dead, so wait. Yeah, and the Tinge army is slightly ahead of in balance of power. And the Flamers are now moving into a safe position, ready to fire once again. They're probably going to hit their own Zangors more, but I guess for Tinge it's acceptable losses. Yeah, they're probably killing more of their Zangors, but the Clanrats are also taking some damage. I totally missed what spell. Oh, Arcane. Yeah, I didn't catch what spell the Blue Scribe cast afterwards. But yeah. We counted 3 spells. There might have been a 4th one that we missed. I am not sure. But yeah, I think the Skavens are in a pretty bad situation right now. Though the Red Ogres are still intact, so that is some good news. There are still some Red Ogres around to just run down the enemy infantry. But Yeah, there are too many Marauders on the field, and the Flamers are back online, which is a main problem. That yeah, that the Skavens will have to deal with. At least some Red Ogres managed to get through and start pummeling the Flamers. Oh, looks like here is. Why are they getting so many Lore of the Deep spells? Fog of the Damned. This is another Lore of the Deep spells. You'd have thought they have brought like freaking Lore of the Deep Vampire Fleet Captain or something. But yeah, it looks like the Red Ogres are will be pushed off. Even the Blue Scribe himself is just jumping into battle, trying to save the Flamers, knowing that it is a very important source of damage for the Siege army. Unfortunately, seems like the Furies will be disappearing. Once again, the Gutter Runners might have to carry this late game there. They are still surviving and are shooting at the enemies. Oh, but the Forsaken, full health even, is going to be a problem. There's nothing to kill them, other than just trying to spam spells onto them. Same goes for, oh, at least the Blightscap Plague Pack is doing work. But the Flamers are here to just kill them off. Blue Scribes are trying to see them off right now, and the Grey Seer of Ruin just keep pressuring the Flamers right now, trying to put them into crumbling territory, and indeed they crumbled. Took a big hit from the Grey Seer's Plague Furnace as well. Looks like the Blightscap Plague Pack will have to carry this one for the Skavens. There are still some of them left on the field, but will that be enough? We shall see. They managed to rout the Forsaken here, using that contaminated effect to barely make them rout. Like, they were just enough to be in 0 leadership, being pushed off a bit there. But Blightscap Plague Pack, they themselves are very fragile. They're pretty glass cannony, so any damage they took will be pretty significant, and they're now down to their last leg as well. Looks like a spell coming in. No? I thought there was a spell. It got cancelled. And yeah, you can see the Blightscap Plague Pack is down to the last 1,500 HP. Not much left for them. While the Siege army still have a very healthy unit of Marauders, very healthy unit of Forsaken. What can the Skavens do against this? Well, I guess the Grey Seer of Ruin will have to just carry the game, I guess? Oh, there's still more Forsaken coming in. It's pretty much just the Grey Seer of Ruin against the world at this point. Wait, maybe a Dread of 13th? Has he used his Dread of 13th yet? Wait, no, yeah. Yeah, there's the one use of Dread of 13th. Maybe I've missed the first one, actually. Awakening of the Wood, blasting off some more of these Skaven units. But yeah, looks like the Siege army is ahead in balance of power, mostly because Changeling is very healthy and they still have some Forsaken left on the field. That Wire Wind of the that Lore of Ashen spell, Black Wire Wind or something, doesn't do any damage. It just disrupts, so doesn't do a whole lot. Oh, but the Siege army, the Siege army is converging their forces. This might be the golden. There might be a golden opportunity for the Dread of 13th coming soon. Ooh, a Chillwind? Chillwind onto their own troops. But yeah, it looks like the Skaven's army losses hits. No Dread of 13th, and instead, all their troops are gone. That Chillwind is just to try and seal the deal and kill off the last remaining chaff unit. And yeah, the Blightscap Plague Pack tried their best. Just that the loss of the Poisoning Globes is too much. Like, losing their Poisoning Globes without much damage dealt, that was a bit too much there. They were trying to push. They were pushing ahead, trying to get to the enemy troops, but also out of position, in a very vulnerable position to get flanked by Forsakens and Zangors. And as a result, I think that the Skaven probably lost this one because they were not able to deal with Forsaken and Zangors from the flanks effectively, losing those Poisoning Globes. Red Ogres tried their best to carry this one, pulled this one back, did some really good damage, and but yeah, just the Poisoning Globes were very essential to kill the Zangors and Forsaken, and they were not able to do it, spelling the doom of the Skavens in this game. As the Forsaken managed to just clean up all the infantry, and same goes for the Zangors there. Yeah, very nicely done by Alex there. Very nice to see the Blue Scribes, honestly. Being dressed up as the Blue Scribes, going around to trick their opponents. Very fun game from all the players there. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today's stream. I hope you all enjoyed this little stream of multiplayer here today. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, apologies for not being able to stream the tournament live this week. Just because I really wasn't in the shape to do it. I was just coughing for like a good... yeah, I was just coughing a little too frequently for a stream to actually happen. You'll just be hearing me coughing like every few seconds. If it gets a little bit worse, then yeah, it's not great. But yeah, instead we just have another stream on over the weekend to make up for this. And I hope you all enjoy the stream. I definitely hope everyone who engaged in the tournament enjoyed the tourney and had a fun time with the spooky rules. And yeah, that's it for today's stream. I think my cough is acting up again. So yeah, I'm just gonna end it here. Thank you for watching. I hope you all had fun with the stream and the tourney, whether you've played in it or you're just watching the stream today. Have a good weekend, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one. Tactical signing out.